pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's in the morning.
Roll call, please.
Before we start the roll call, did everybody sign in tonight? Anyone who hasn't signed in? Thank you. Roll call, Bud.
Present.
Barb.
Here.
Alan Robbins.
Present.
Tamitha.
Here.
Keith.
Yes.
Ken.
Present.
Alan Michelson.
Here.
Jim.
Good stuff. Here.
Matt. Thank you.
Okay, you've all had time to read the minutes.
I move that the minutes be.
Wait, I have a correction on the minutes, so I can like find them. It's simple, it's in this first part here where we, thank the people helping with the, helping put those posts back up.
Okay.
It's Eric Niger, Neiger.
Neiger.
Right, and the other one is Chris Simonsky, Somonski, I think.
SAL.
What is it?
SAL.
Somski.
Did you start over?
Say it, Leslie.
SAL and SAI.
Oh.
Salmon, Oscar.
SALMON. SKI.
He had Chris Simonsky, close. So forget he wasn't here, he was listening to us.
No excuse.
Okay, you made a motion.
I propose that we accept the minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you have the bills. Are there any additional bills, Gary?
No changes.
Notice they're kind of high this month, but we did pay the road crew $129,000.
I move that we pay the bills from appropriate accounts.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Before we get started, I just want to take a minute to thank Tamitha and Ken and Matt for their work on that fall park.
It was mostly those two.
I know, but I thought I'd be nice and throw your name out.
I appreciate it.
We were, she was able to raise $2,025 that we donated to the Parks Fund. So good job, as usual. And all the people that helped her. And Leslie for pumpkins. Okay, Alan, did you have a guest here?
We do have a guest tonight. We have Jose Delgado from NOPEC, and he'll be, give a small presentation and answer any community questions that might be for the changes in electric aggregation. So, Jose, if you can stand, yep, up here, appreciate it.
I'll still face the council, but any questions, bring them. So thank you, Mayor, Council, Community. My name is Jose Delgado, Relationship Manager with NOPEC, and I'm here this evening to provide an update on the NOPEC electric aggregation. You know, where we are, where we stand with it right now. And I'll do my best to field any questions. If I don't have the answer, I'll follow up with you at a later time. But I wanted to frame this update. I want to frame this.
He can stand sideways or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fine. I want to frame this update with a sentence just to say that over the last 20 years, NOPEC has always been consumer driven through our programming and through our advocacy. This last year, with international and national events, there was created some situations where it led to some high volatility within the energy market. Probably any market for that matter. And we're still experiencing that today. As a result of that, that led to our customers in our electric irrigation to experience higher budget rates. So we're well aware of that. Regarding the rate and the utility rate itself, whether you know or don't know, the electric utility rate is determined and set for a period of time. That's done during an auction. And once the auction is completed, the market can change. And it did. It did, and again, it created that volatile market, volatile time to purchase energy, and specifically, in this case, electricity. So, with regards to our, in this new change market, or this, so post the auction, in this new environment we are in now, though our rates were high when compared to this new market, we're still aligned with that market. But when compared to the utility, in this case, Ohio Edison, we were higher. We were much higher. Our rates were much higher than that. So NOPEC wanted to take action, and we notified and informed the PUCO, the Public Utility Commission of Ohio, of what we wanted to do. And after discussions with the PUCO, after discussion with the PUCO, we began migrating or transitioning our electric irrigation customers from our NOPEC irrigation back to the utility default program. And that's where those lower rates existed right now, at this time right now. So we did this as soon as possible, given the amount of customers we had. We worked with Ohio Edison to get this done as quickly as possible. And we did this all within compliance of Ohio law. We make sure that we did our due diligence on that. And in fact, along those lines of within Ohio law, there were 40 other aggregations who did the same thing we did, by dropping their customers from their aggregation back to utilities, take advantage of the lower rates that exist at this time. So right now, we're October 10th. Most, if not many, if not most of our customers have transitioned back to the utility. If you haven't seen that yet in your bill, that takes about, I anticipate probably another couple weeks or so. If you look back originally, back in August when we began this process, we said it'll take about 1 to 2 bill cycles. So like I said again, we're August 10th, we're about a bill cycle and a half. October 10th, we're about a bill cycle and a half into that process. So bill cycles are, not all bill cycles are equal. So depending on how your meter read lines, it's going to determine when you transition over. So that's where we are right now as of October 10th. And so our intention now for 2023, our intent is to resume the electric irrigation, and that's going to begin June of 2023. Also in 2023, there will be another auction. I mentioned the auction with Ohio Edison and any utility for that matter. That auction is going to occur around mid-2023. At that time, the current utility rate, PTC, is going to reset. In theory, it can go up, go down, and stay the same. There's a likelihood that it will reflect the current market at that time, and if they do set the market rate again. And then I guess, I don't say expectation, but we feel at that time then, the utility rate is gonna align more, with the market and with other supplier rates at that time too. So around mid next year is where we can expect, there to be another auction, and again, our intentions are to begin the electric irrigation again, right, in June of 2023. So at this point, are there any questions about, and I said a lot, any questions on that, or that? That's essentially the update where we are today with electric irrigation.
Well, let's just fast forward, let's say, let's use June, as the target. And the way the aggregate, the auction goes, you're able to buy in a favorable position or savings to your customer. Will that then, how will that reversal be implemented into the community?
So just to be clear, the auction will be for the utility. They get their rate set in that auction. We don't have, they're separate entities from the utility to NOPEC ready supply for that matter. So one scenario is that come June of 2023, NOPEC is going to resume their irrigation. We can resume our irrigation. It won't be any different than it has happened in the past, where residents, eligible residents will get a letter in the mail stating, okay, irrigation, we're trying to go again. They'll list our rates on there, like, has the way it's always been, where rates will be for the irrigation. Then you have the option to do nothing, part of the irrigation, or choose not to part of the irrigation, which happens. Just essentially check a box, send a letter back to us, and you won't do the irrigation at that time. Does that answer your question?
Pretty much. I guess, let's just use June as a target. Maybe you need to come back in May or June,
I can-
and see what we're dealing with at that point.
Yeah, I can definitely come back, I know you guys meet once a month, is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, so I can definitely come back, I have no problem coming back. As relationship manager, my job is to maintain a relationship with the local communities. So, Alan, Mayor, they contact me fairly often, I typically, any questions regarding this, or, 6 months from now, the NOPEC irrigation utilities, as a NOPEC community, I'm essentially your relationship manager. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, text, call. I talk with residents fairly often throughout the week, so I have no problem with that. So if whatever I said today, you guys go home, digest it, you have other questions, feel free to contact me directly, or, well, I won't speak for you, but you can contact me and I will answer your question. I will be happy to.
I have a question for you, so, because I am a NOPEC customer, and recently went through a catch-up phase, if you will, in our billing cycle. And the catch-up was substantial.
Yeah.
So is it safe to say that in a volatile market, OPEC struggles to remain competitive because of the volatility of the market? Because costs are yo-yoing around.
Sure.
So we're always kind of chasing it, if you will.
So, as far as speaking to future markets, that's difficult to do, and there's people a lot smarter than me, and they find it difficult to do. But to answer your question, you're talking about true up, right? Where you're talking about trued up, it happens, things annually, it happens. For the most part, it happens annually, biannually for some utilities. So yeah, in the transition, in the process of transitioning from the NOPEC irrigation back to utility, that, for lack of a better word, triggered a true up period, where typically the true up would have been delayed a little bit. I'm not sure how what your cycle is, it depends on when you did it.
Right.
But yeah, but that ended up triggering that event to occur, so that was one of the outcomes of switching over, that switched over the utility, essentially, again, it triggered and the true up occurred. As far as in the future, again, the one scenario where June comes and we get the letters, you're not doing aggregation. If you wish to join aggregation, but you're not sure, there's some doubt, some volatility, you can always drop. You don't have to, you don't only have the opportunity when you get the letter the very first time to drop from NOPEC aggregation. You could drop it anytime you want. You just, for electric, just make a phone call and you're no longer in aggregation. So, and there's no penalties, there's no fee, anything like that associated with that. If you decide to do it again, once you feel comfortable with the market or terms and conditions meet your needs, you can join again. One of the benefits of being in the NOPEC aggregation is that, in some respect, you can look at it as NOPEC rates and conditions are, terms and conditions are A, I want you to go back to utility, or you can go to Energy Choice Ohio. It's Apple site, you can shop for suppliers. You can use our rates and terms and conditions to sanity check. I always just be mindful that when you're shopping, rate obviously is a factor, but it shouldn't always be your determining factor. Be mindful of the terms and conditions that exist out there. For the most part, you have like a safety net, no fact that in order to make an application, you wish to do so once those terms and conditions suit your needs. I hope that answers your question.
It does.
If not, like I said, you can give me a call and we can talk later.
That's a question.
Yeah, I have a question. So in the June auction, do you guys buy a year's worth of capacity at a fixed rate? And then if I'm part of your aggregation, I get your fixed rate for an entire year, is that how it works?
Yes, just to, I want to make terms here, the auction is utility thing. No fact doesn't purchase or an option, but answer the question about fixed rates. So, we have our federal program rate, which is what everyone defaults to. Come, again, scenario, June 23, you get your letter, you do nothing, you get default into the NOPEC standard program price. We also have two fixed prices that you can pick to choose as well, 12 months, to answer your question, and then 24 months. If in that time period, you see the 12-month rate is no longer as favorable as the standard program price, you can call customer care and switch back to the standard program price. Essentially, you can navigate between our product offerings and have customer in the type of early termination, something like that. So we do have a 12-month fixed rate and a 24-month fixed rate that you can shop at, at your needs. Is that your question?
Yeah, usually 12-month commitments are less than the spot rate, correct?
Again, market conditions today could be different next month, almost 6 months from now. So I couldn't tell you whether that rate, this time next year, last year, I couldn't tell you that it would have been almost 40% of the utility. So we're very volatile times right now. My one recommendation is to be mindful of what's happening out there, and we'll do our best to support in that and helping you. My goal is to make sure that would be a mayor, a council person, or a resident, but at the end of our conversation, if you're more informed what it was when the conversation started. Tonight, I'll walk out of here and answer your question. It doesn't mean the conversation ended. We'll continue it, and I'm just asking for the opportunity to provide you with the right answer, not necessarily an answer.
On, Mark, the NOPEC commissions a large commodity trader called New Era that actually does the buying of the utility rate.
Yeah, so Next Era Energy is our supplier.
The pricing, the unusual pricing you have right now, was that caused by any ripple effects from Ohio Edison's, searching for a fight word, not coming up with, for the transgressions before? Did they have to go throw a real low price to the marketplace?
So, well, so their auction occurred, just from what I understand, what I'm getting into, what they're going to occur. The auction occurred essentially somewhere around March, April-ish timeframe. Essentially it occurred before all the global and national, for the weather. It was a very warm summer this summer across the country. We're talking energy, we're not just talking about Northeast Ohio. I'm mindful of that, to what your needs are here in the community, but when it comes to rates, there's a global impact, or there's global factors that impact our rates here just globally. So the auction occurred prior to what happened in Europe, supply chain issues there, the warm weather. So it was timing definitely was a factor for that. I will say that. That I can say.
Any other questions from the audience?
Yeah, Jose, is this gonna affect we got gas aggregation listed too, how's that doing?
Yeah, actually, our gas aggregation is doing well. For all intents and purposes, natural gas aggregation is a business as usual. Some notes here off the bat just to make sure. So we have our more offerings to right now. The SCO, so the utilities rate is $9.53 per MCF. Our standard program price, NOPEC standard program price, is $6.49 per MCF. So we're pretty competitive when compared to the utility or the market for that matter. So yeah, it's business as usual with our electric aggregation. Right now the situation where we're powering through our issues with our electric aggregation.
Thank you.
If any of the audience has direct questions for Jose or NOPEC, you can channel them through me if you wish. I'll move them on. If you don't have, they have a good question and answer there, but if you have a specific, we're glad to answer.
We have an FAQ on our website. Feel free to go there. You can just rather speak to someone, call our customer care, that number. But again, I'm available for you guys to speak to. I'll do my best to answer your questions. At least again, we'll need a little more informed before you want to talk.
Thank you.
Fair enough.
Thanks,
All right, well,
Jose.
thank you for your time again. I appreciate it, and you all have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, well, I see Deputy Harvey apparently had a call.
Yeah, he had a siren, so.
So we'll go to safety anyway.
Yeah. we will. I handed out monthly hours, you can see the sheet. We were targeting 120 hours. The deputies could only work 101, which was about 15% off of what our target is. There was one singular reason on that. We have 4 deputies. Deputy Small, who covers a fair amount of these hours, had a death in the family or an illness, and it took him out of the equation. So I believe they're back on target. We dropped in October, November, December, we dropped from 120 hours to 100 hours. So miles logged were 778, gallons of fuel approximately 48.9. Harhay were 36, Cornelius 35, King 20 and a half, Small 10. So that's the issues with the hours. Going through activities, I'll just read through it quickly. Animal complaint 1, domestic 1, water ambulance 6, mental case 4, extra patrol 60, picture watches 3, suspicious person and vehicle 1, suspicious vehicle 1, lockout 1, assist other agencies 3, building check 7, fraud identity theft, or fraud identity fraud 2, follow-ups 2, golf cart inspections 2, and that's a total of 18 for this year. Property lost or found 1, standby assist or general escort 2, sick person 1, suspicious circumstances 2, trespassers 1, traffic stops 4, unwanted subject 3, welfare checks 2. Total of 113 activities, which is a little bit higher than we've had in the past. RA was called out on a call, which is unfortunate. Any questions from the audience on deputy issues? If not, I'll go on to the fire report from Chief Winkler. Total calls for September in the township were 44. Of that, 34 were in the township, 7 were in Chippewa Lake. Glory Glens had 1, and Mutual Aid were 3. They had a nice night at the races fundraiser on the 24th, which conflicted with the village party. They did have an open house last Saturday at the fire station. They had tours and things of that nature. And then also last week, through Tamitha's work, they did CPR training. There's 9 or 10 residents. Some of those are present here today. They did a good job. Four deputies did that. Thank Tamitha for arranging that. And
Now,
that's all.
Alan, will you be contacting them to see if they're gonna be around on Halloween? Same with the deputies.
Yes.
And while I say that, I'm assuming you guys still want normal October 31st from 6 to 7:30?
That's what I told him, like we've done in the
We've always
past.
had it,
I wasn't clear on the time. You want 6 to 7:30?
right? That's what I was saying.
That's, we have one.
That's all I have on safety.
Mr. Mark?
Yes.
Hey, Mark, can you put that on Facebook, our Halloween hours?
Sure.
Thanks. Okay, now we have one more person in your safety. You have another guest here,
Yes, we do.
and if you'd like to introduce him.
I will. We have a guest, Christopher Livingston. He worked with us a couple years ago. He was working when he contacted me. And we were working on the siren up at Station 2 at that time. And we met and actually triggered the siren ourselves, followed some wires around. The station was closed at that time. When EMA took over that facility, they said that they would get the siren fixed or whatever, and that is not going to happen through EMA. It's been a frustrating experience for me. And then a couple of weeks ago, Mayor mentioned, says, why don't we call Chris up? So which I did. He was a student when we first dealt with him. He's a sophomore civil engineering student at the University of Akron. And he studied sirens, emergency sirens, so he's pretty knowledgeable. And the 2 weeks I've worked with him, I've accomplished more in the 4 years that I have with the bureaucrats of this county. I'll try and keep my temper down, but I'm going to introduce Chris. We have volumes of information, but we're going to kind of keep it as clear as we can. We have options and other options are coming forward. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Chris. If you could kind of stand up. The cameras will pick you up, the audience can figure it out too. I did hand out something which was a siren presentation to each of you so you can understand a little bit of what we're dealing with. I didn't want to bury you or bore you with a lot of facts at this point. Okay, Chris?
So at this point, there's kind of two options to go for with the siren. First option we looked at was a replacement unit. We reached out to Capital Electronics, who's the state dealer for Federal Signal, who manufactures the equipment we need for this situation. And the representative I spoke with recommended 2 sirens, which are the 508 and 2001 siren. The 508 siren is the larger of the 2. It's got a range of 7,300 feet. 2001 has a range of 600, 500 feet. And those sirens will come with a turnkey installation from them under those prices, which would include utility pole, programming the new radio units on those units, installation, any additional planning that needs to be done. Really, the only thing that's not included in that price would be the price to bring electricity out to the site where the siren would be placed. I spoke with the vendor with that, and they said, really, we just need electricity out there. We can work with it from there. And then the other thing with these sirens with Capital Electronics, they work exclusively in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. So they deal with the terrain issues that we're dealing with in this case, where the signal's not reaching the village, and said that they have a multitude of options to really work around the terrain issue, whether it be a radio repeater or using another siren in Medina County to send the signal over to Chippewa. So those are more expensive just because they're new units. Then the other option that came up was, with EMA that they would be taking the current siren at Station 2 down. That siren is a smaller siren, it's an older siren, but it still works. The thing with that is that reinstalling it is going to be more of a process. There's no turnkey installation with that type of siren. It's especially with the equipment that's currently on it. The village would need to either work with whoever's reinstalling it to get a 50-foot utility pole. The radio unit on that siren works with the county system. It is not up to, I spoke with the vendor about it, it is not the right type of radio that should be on that siren. And the way that it's hooked into an older radio is very questionable. And then the final thing with reinstalling it is the siren uses a motor starter, which does not have a weatherproof enclosure. And if it's put on a pole, something will need to be done to make sure that that enclosure is protected from the elements, which should, at the end of the day, cost less than reinstalling a new siren. And then the other thing with that smaller siren is that where you place it is going to be more important than the larger sirens, because it's only got a 2,000-foot range where it's audible. It would probably have to be placed within the village limits, which could be a problem with the current reception issue. So those are the 2 options that look to be the most viable with the sirens right now. Other than that, funding would be the next thing, along with figuring out the radio issues.
Yeah, we had, I appreciate the work that Chris has done. He's done it very effectively and he writes very well. And he's very detailed to the types of topics we're going for. Our complexity is the sirens are not in the village, they're not owned by the village. We have to rely on another political entity to be responsible for it. I've been through 2 fire chiefs, I've been through 2 police chiefs, or Medina sheriffs. I've been through layers of people. No one takes any responsibility or effective responsibility for us. The mayor is just as frustrated as I am. The vocal people the mayor speaks highly for the community. The boaters, are that last in being one of the more vocal for that, about not having your weather app while you're out on the lake because you don't want your phone to be destroyed while in water or kayaking or however you're doing it. I did meet when you look at reception issues, again, the siren comes from Hinckley, or the signal comes from Hinckley. And we're in kind of a valley here. And it doesn't, they can do analysis, the signal doesn't get into the village area. If we get down by the lake, we even get worse.
Except for the first Saturday of this month. It went on
It did work.
It did.
But it was explained, that was about the third time I worked in 4 years, it was explained it was a perfect weather incident. So 3 years out of 48, 3 months out of 48, it's not the reliability that we're looking for. We looked across the lake, the reception on the other side of the lake, let's say at Crable or something, or maybe even at the ramp, better reception over there because it's on the far side of the valley. I went to the Park District meeting, board meeting, and spoke to them. They asked good questions. Nate wasn't aware of any grant money through Division of Watercraft or anything like that. We're still exploring that kind of stuff. Later, a week or so later, he said, you could put it over there, but we don't want to own it and we don't want to maintain it. So I'm getting those kind of responses along the way. A sidebar is that the Hinckley signal's not reaching possibly other places here. They talked about a booster repeater or something that would maybe amplify that signal so that we could get reception here. So that could possibly come from the sheriff's or the dispatch. That's who triggers the signal. So there's a lot of complexity here. I've never seen so many government officials backpedal on what seems to be a basic thing. I've never seen that.
And maybe you guys were confused about what Christopher was saying about the current siren, installing that here. Many of you, and we do have minutes to prove this, heard Christine Fazio from Emergency Management say that they were going to try to find a grant to fix that siren. She quoted that it would be about $40,000. Now all of a sudden, they want absolutely nothing to do with it. They're not responsible for sirens. And they are taking theirs down and they have offered it to us. So even though that worked a couple weeks ago, they suddenly just want to get rid of it altogether. And if we want it, we can have it. And that's where Christopher was coming from when he was talking about that third option of installing theirs here.
How much money were we talking about?
So for the two larger sirens, the largest siren is about $35,000. The slightly smaller one is $33,000. After that, you're dealing with a siren about the same size as the current one, and the dealer didn't think it was going to be an effective install.
And this is because Bill Gaskam, I dropped his iPhone.
No, it's because the mayor might not have her phone on and not know anything's going on.
What was the range on the first two again?
So the largest siren gets about 7,300 feet, and then the siren just under that gets about 6,500 feet. And that's with a slightly shorter range than you would get on a good day, just in case, when the weather is bad.
Around a mile and a half.
Yeah.
Two questions. One, is there a service and maintenance contract with this? I'm glad to see it's turnkey, which is great, but do they offer like a service?
They offer, several other communities in Medina County in the past have had, maintenance contracts for the sirens. Company that did that, I don't think is in business anymore, but Capital Electronics, the company I reached out to, does that. Most of the counties in the area have maintenance contracts outside of Medina County. For whatever reason, Medina County's sirens are very disjointed.
Is there an approximate cost for service and maintenance per year?
From what I've seen around the county, it usually is about $500 a year for them to come out and look at it. If there's something wrong, that's when it would go up, but usually you don't really see any very expensive repairs being made. These two larger sirens have battery backup. That's usually where any cost would come from, and that's maybe 7 years on average if you have to really look into the batteries.
And is there any newer technology rather than relying on a radio signal that we could use?
So there is, Federal Signal offers cellular activation and IP activation. The issue is that the base unit, the encoder that they use to send out the signal is owned by the sheriff's department. And, may need to either have, for the cellular, you need a subscription to, like a cellular subscription to activate that siren. And then it comes down to who's gonna pay for that. And then with the IP, they need it's like an upgrade, and it's probably gonna come back out to who's gonna pay for that upgrade. And if there's a subscription involved with that,
But that sounds like it would be potentially more reliable
then
than the radio signal because we're especially in the valley.
yeah. And Capital Electronics also mentioned that there's a couple things they can do. She was mentioning they worked in West Virginia a couple weeks ago with the siren system that's in the mountains, and the radio system we use is an advanced radio system. I mentioned we could use one of the sirens in Lodi to bounce the signal back into Chippewa. Chippewa is the only sirens that I know of out of the 48 the county owns that never seem to work. The radio system does work. It's a matter of making sure that the infrastructure exists and works.
Did you say there's 48 sirens in the county? Is that what you just said?
I think it's 48, and then there's a couple other, the city of Brunswick, Wadsworth, and Westfield Center operate their own sirens separate from the
Who
county.
operates the rest of them?
The rest of them are operated by sheriff, Medina County.
I thought the county doesn't do sirens. Haven't we been told that by everybody we
Well,
talked to?
that's what Commissioner Houston told, Mike.
Right, they don't have to do it.
In other words, they
You
don't
can't
want it.
force them to do it.
We didn't ask them to do ours, did we?
Yeah, I guess Commissioner Houston directed us to go to Westfield. They had gotten a grant, to put a siren there.
Right.
And when we did our search, I did not make it direct. It was done 10 years ago, so the regime has changed. It did all of that. So it's been enormously frustrating. I think everybody should share in the cost of this because it's part of it's the village, part of it's the lake, part of it's all the towns. So we'll see what the numbers are and we'll go out and plead our case.
Christopher, do you know of any, are you looking into any grants available?
So, I spoke with Capital because they also try to assist with the grants. Right now, usually the most surefire way to get a grant for a siren and have it just covered in full would be a FEMA grant. With the hurricane, that's gonna be difficult to do right now because a lot of the FEMA money is being
Plus,
channeled.
FEMA's the one that has a siren in their building right now, and don't like us anyway.
Yeah. There are two other options that seem to be working right now. I attend classes with somebody who dealt with a similar thing in a suburb of Dayton and helped them get installing their sirens next week. And they funded their sirens through the ARPA funding that's been going around. The main thing with that is it's gonna have to be looked into a little bit more seriously because looking on their website, it is not clear like FEMA where they have specific guidelines if you meet the funding requirements or how you obtain that, which is, I've spent the past week and a half trying to figure anything out on that front. And then worst comes to worst, specialty fundraising has worked in the past. Several communities have had local businesses chip in for the price of a new siren. Ashland County has done that several times, and I believe a couple of places in Cuyahoga County have done that to purchase sirens. Again, there's some other options. I think that the USDA offers sirens for small communities. But that one, again, they don't have clear guidelines online anymore. You have to reach out to somebody with them.
Did you guys notice this amount left in the ARPA funds that we have here? That Gary just gave us, $47,000? Is that correct?
It's correct, and I can comment and perhaps help Chris. Chris, we reclassified our ARPA monies to general government services. That opens the gate for us to use it for any service required by the village. Therefore, ARPA monies can be used for this purpose if the entity reclassified their monies that they received. So that explains how those can be used if they've done that.
Yeah.
If they haven't done that, then there are very more serious restrictions on the use of those monies.
Yeah. And that's, again, just what I've seen around the state right now, how communities are purchasing these. Again, from what I've seen with these sirens, a lot of communities have trouble getting them up. Again, It appears that if you're not in Medina County, you have no problem once it's up. But other than that, that seems to be a lot of communities right now have been using those routes for that. In the past, the state has had money for that. In recent, the state has not provided funding for these types of purposes.
Well, I wanted to thank Chris for the work that he's doing.
Kelly has a question.
Real quick question. Are we trying to protect just our village or our neighbors?
Well, they would, I'm sure Water Glens would hear it.
Okay, that's my question.
And there's
So what is
surrounding
the-
township
how-
people.
You said 7,000 feet is the first one. How many feet are we looking for us? I mean, how many, does anybody know that number?
I think when I was looking at it, just messing around looking, you'd need about like 2,000 feet, like the current siren, just to put, if you put the current siren around this location in the village, it would cover the entire village.
Just our village?
Just the
not
village. It wouldn't-
Necessarily Gloria Glenn's.
Wouldn't reach them and it wouldn't reach the other side of the lake, just 'cause it's a small unit.
Mark?
You know, you can buy an emergency weather alert radio for $20.
Why would we want to do that when we could spend $30,000?
Well, we could buy 5 of them for glass net. And then one for every household in the village.
Say, I could get them in some.
Yeah, well, what are those?
Mark, snide comments noted.
No, serious. The siren originally went in when we had a volunteer fire department, right?
That's exactly what it was for, yes, the volunteer fire department.
Yeah.
And now technology has moved on.
In this case, just because of the village, the outdoor activities here.
Yeah.
Like some of the larger cities, they don't like having sirens because their money is put down and you don't have people outside. In the village, you have a lot of outdoor activities around here where people aren't going to carry a weather radio. I can tell you, I use the bike trail down the street from here, and I don't bring my phone with me most of the time when I go down that trail. And,
You fall.
yeah. Again, if something were to happen, that's why that siren would be there. Again, the weather radios are really good for when you're at home, or having an app and whatnot, and I'm a very big proponent of having a weather radio in your home. Because you're not going to hear the siren inside when you're sleeping. But if you're outside on a boat, walking around the neighborhood, you might not have that phone or, weather radio on.
Alan, did you say Westfield or Westfield Township?
They're the same, I believe. All I know is it was done 10 years ago.
Okay, because
So initially, people were suggesting a longer antenna would take care of the problem that we had. I guess that's not the case now. You have to research.
Well, it's hard to say. When I spoke to Capital, usually they would come out and look at that prior to recommending these options, but they can't get out here right now because they're backed up on what they have to do because of the supply chains. They're backed up right now. That could help. I know since we looked at it 2 years ago, a new antenna has been put on it. It's been a couple months, I think, since I noticed that antenna went up on that unit, and it's still failing.
How old is the current system?
Approximately. That siren, I think, was put in 1970. The siren itself works, it's the radio. The county siren system, I think, went up around 2006. That was when the county got grant money to put up newer sirens.
But even if we went that route now, Ken, they're telling us we have to move it.
Yeah.
They want it off their building, you have to put up a pole.
Even though it worked a couple weeks, it worked perfectly a couple weeks ago. Now, does that mean it's gonna work next November or in November on the first Saturday? Who knows? Because nobody will go test it, because it's like, now that it's possible, maybe it did work. Maybe somebody fixed the signal. Maybe the sheriff listened to us and changed their signal. Who knows? But you know, all of a sudden she's gonna take it down no matter what. I mean, that isn't, for all we know, it works.
Well, I don't want to belabor the issue. Chris and I triggered this siren 2 years ago, and we can activate it. So it is a connectivity issue with the signal. There's a lot of just unknown things there for us to deal with. Chris has accomplished this work in a little over 2 weeks. So we'll bring it back next month.
Good job, Chris.
Hopefully we'll have all these pieces, parts starting to join together. We start to know budget numbers. If you go out for a grant, you don't even have your budget numbers. I mean, you're just gonna look silly. So thank you for doing that for us. So there's a lot of options as we go forward. Allison?
If it's gonna be a vertical or a blend, so there's a possibility of getting them to pitch in.
Precisely. I mean, if the lake gets it, I think the park district should be involved, or, you know, Friends of the Park or whatever. However we decide to finance this, but it's good to know what a good range of cost is, so you know what you're asking for. And Chris has got us there. We've never had any of that in 4 years. So thank you. Anything else?
No.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, and while we're in safety, Alan, I know you guys are waiting for that variance, but real quick, you had this golf cart question. I think Alan's got the answer. Do you want to put that in safety or labor or what?
Put it in new business.
Put it under Alan's or law director. Okay, then we'll go on to zoning.
October zoning report, 9 Parkway Path. There are many charges that were brought against the owner, and at this point, after doing an inspection today, it looks to me as if we should go the route of maybe condemning the place. And there's a lot of, just a lot of blight situation going on there. With the chimney that is collapsed, there's animals getting in the building, the entire side and rear are overgrown with vine. There's a tree down in the backyard that covers, well, it's not really a yard, it's a deck, but it covers the whole thing. So it's, and you know, on top of that, there's a car that's parked out front. It's been parked there for a while with expired plates. So Alan, do you have any update on, or have had any contact with this guy?
No, I haven't. I used to talk to him a while ago, but not anymore. But where it stands is he's been charged with a number of violations. He didn't show up for court. The court has issued a warrant for his arrest, and he would have to post a $5,000 bond if he's arrested. It's not like anyone's going to look for him though, but if he happens to have a traffic stop or some other encounter where they run warrants, they'll find him. But I mean, we also have a court order that he fix all these things, but does anybody know if he's around, if he's in town?
I haven't heard.
I went by a week or so ago and there was a different car in the driveway. There were 2 cars in the driveway. I didn't know if it was a neighbor parked in there,
I think so.
but there was a second car in the driveway.
There was a van in the driveway today.
Yeah.
That's the neighbor, because
What's the process for condemning?
Well, that would be to have it inspected, and if we can get an opinion, the Medina County Building Department has helped us with this in the past. Not us, but help Glory Glens. And if it's unsuitable for habitation and a safety danger, it can be condemned. But, you know, it all boils down to, you know, we've got charges now against him. We've got conditions we can prove. We could have it condemned, maybe. I mean, that's up to the building inspector's opinion. But to do anything, you'd have to pay for it. And we can give him proper notice. And if he doesn't correct it, which looks like he won't, you can correct conditions, but you have to put out the money.
105 specifically says when a structure or any part thereof is found by the zoning inspector to be unsafe, or when a structure or part thereof is found to be unfit for human occupancy or use is found unlawful, it may be condemned, may be placarded and ordered vacated. It's already vacated. I'm passing around my phone. I stopped there this afternoon and took some photographs,
Yeah.
being mindful that eyes cannot commit trespass. It's a dung heap.
And nobody lives there.
No one lives there.
Okay.
The tree that fell across the deck has laid there for months.
Yeah.
It's overgrown, it's growing grass on the roof.
I talked to him last year and he wasn't interested in selling.
There are holes under the deck, there's holes under the house that indicate animals have burrowed under there. The neighbors have told me that they've seen raccoons crawl in and out of the house via a hole in the roof. The chimney has fallen over and laying on top of the roof in shards, broken. If this baby doesn't satisfy condemnation, we don't have a snowball's chance.
Well, it probably will, but the code says Jim can make that call, but in my opinion, this is what I did in the Glens with the house. If we get the county building inspector, we have an automatic expert witness. Not that Jim isn't an expert, but the county building inspector is qualified and, because I've been to court with him, the head inspector, he's very good, straightforward guy. So I would go with that for liability purposes, because, if we condemn it, knock down the house, haul it away, then a year later, the guy comes out with a federal lawsuit that we violated his rights, we're in really good position if we have.
Would it go to a sheriff's sale? Is there any?
Well, here's what would happen. If we condemn it, then you've got the expense issue. You can order it to be demolished and cleaned up and carted away. And when that time comes and goes, you can do it. But you have to put up the money.
And
And our only recourse, if this owner is in the wind, and presumably uncollectible, I'm guessing, but your only recourse then is to put a lien on the property for what you've spent.
Right.
And we did this with a house in Gloria Glens that was a real mess. And the cost to take it down were $12,000 to $14,000. It's now up for a tax sale. And it's basically a small, vacant, non-buildable parcel. I don't expect anybody's gonna buy it. So that's the problem, financial problem. We can do all this, but.
Well, 10 or 15 years ago, we had that experience with the Buck property.
Exactly.
It was 12 grand and sent down. We did end up selling it at a profit.
Right.
We did have money out, you're correct. Leslie, you don't have a contact info for this guy?
I have his phone number,
I have
would we give it to you later this evening?
Sure, I think I have it, because I used to talk to him, over the years. And that property on Craggy Creek was, I think it was 3 lots. Two, okay, so it was definitely buildable, it was usable.
Yeah.
It was a zoning question that you couldn't rebuild.
What about the property on Rusted Brook on the corner with the guy that went to $250,000 It says Lingenfeld, yeah.
Oh, Lingenfeld, right.
We had the.
Same
That
deal.
was, I mean, that was in as bad, if not worse condition than this one is.
Well, it was condemned, it was,
He sold it.
and it was sold, to a private buyer.
I think.
That had a lot of property with it, too, in the back,
The expenses aside, everyone, I think it's shameful if we don't take action.
Well, you could look at it as one of your governmental duties. And the government can't always make money, obviously. There's some things you just do, you have to do.
This is, for those of you in the audience who are not familiar with this location, we have had repeated conversations and entreaties with this individual. It started years ago with a pair of rotting Sea-Doos in a rusted out pickup truck.
2013.
And not 2013.
Was it?
I've been talking to him since then, and then
And now we've moved on to the structure itself.
With a warrant, if he goes to renew plates or his driver's license, won't that pick up on that?
The plates, I think, he won't be able to register any vehicle
With a
because of the
warrant?
warrant out there and the, what they call it is a BMV blocker.
And that's anywhere in Ohio, not just.
Right.
Not just.
But we may be in dealing with an individual who just doesn't care about that.
and it's gonna be.
And also, if he's picked up on the warrant, he'll go to court, he'll be fined. You know, and that doesn't fix the place.
And that does nothing to the property.
Right. And that you, with most, you know, this is a statistical thing. Most people will, rather than go to court, will clean it up. Some people will go to court and clean it up. Other people will, after they go to court, clean it up. You know, but you've got a small percentage of people, and I've seen this in all 5 villages I've ever been in, they won't do anything. You know, it's passive resistance. And then we have to go step by step.
Well, this guy or this person in the past would pay the fine and then not do
Yeah, he
anything.
paid thousands of dollars in fines rather than fix up his property. He did, I mean, this is where I thought we were making progress. When we were talking regularly, he did get rid of the old pickup truck, the old trailer, and the 2 old Sea-Doos that were parked there. And I thought, okay, now we're making progress, you know, but then there was no more progress after that.
There used to be a house right next door that was in shambles, and it got bulldozed and is gone with.
That's
How
true.
did that proceed?
That's true. That was sold to individuals who do not live in the village with the thought that they were gonna build
So it was just a private sale and they just
Right.
bulldozed it themselves?
That's the house I grew up in.
Really?
But these kind of people have mental health
Yeah.
issues if they won't, I mean, this is not a normal thought process that we're
a,
going
well, Alan's spoken with him. I've talked to him countless times. Jim has talked to him countless times. I know folks in the audience who've spoken with him personally in a variety of situations and circumstances. He is completely unreliable. This is in front of us. I'm sick and tired of talking about it and doing nothing, frankly. We need, as a governmental agency in this village, to do what we're supposed to do, condemn it and move forward. And how that turns out is how that turns out.
Does anybody have any ball? Sorry.
So we need to move forward. I made a motion.
Yeah,
You need
you
a
did.
second. I'd like to have council agreement and Jim.
Proceed to condemnation. That's the motion.
What are the chances that the building inspector would inspect the home and say it's not in a condemned condition?
Well, I've seen that happen.
Zero.
I've seen that
And then
happen.
we shot ourselves in
Not
the
a
foot.
problem.
Then
It's
we
in
do
worse
not, you know, we
condition
do
than the
nothing.
house that they condemned next door to me in Medina. This
Okay.
house is in worse condition.
Yeah.
And they condemned it because animals were going inside, like Bud said, and, yeah. So
Okay,
it's-
so the chances are probable that it
Very
would be,
probable.
I second your motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, does anybody know where this person is, this owner? Anybody have any contact?
No idea.
Is there any way to get in the house? I mean,
Go through
I
the
just
roof.
texted
Not
his phone
legally.
number.
because the building inspector, the first question he's gonna have is, can I go in the house?
He can look through the windows.
Yeah.
There's no blinds.
And he could do external inspection.
That might be enough.
Can the police do a safety check since nobody's seen them? Just saying.
It's a great idea.
He might be in there.
You know, that's a good idea.
That would be an ideal scenario. Building inspector and Jim and law enforcement.
Right.
But
Property.
how would I go about, and that's not a Victor watch in theory.
No, that's a safety check, a welfare check. I mean, to see if there's anything in that house.
I'll run through RA, I don't know if I do through
Yeah.
RA or dispatch.
They may not do that. I don't know.
And how do you want to handle the Medina County building inspector?
Well, Alan will let me know what the sheriff will do for us about going into the property.
Okay,
I'll talk to the building inspector, tell him what we've got,
okay.
and then we'll see if we can set up a meet at the place and look in the house. But we need the sheriff's cooperation for that.
Do you want to bring the health department in too?
They haven't been that helpful.
They weren't that helpful with that house on Clover Cliff when it was
Yeah,
flooding, that baby was in there and everything, remember?
the building inspector is more helpful.
Brad Winter's a Medina County building inspector now.
He is?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry to retire.
I won't work through Harvey on this. I'll go through Captain Ross.
Yeah, good idea. Let me know.
Yeah, I've got another call in hand for
So I'll make contact with the building inspector's office. I'll keep Jim in the loop.
I can contact Wieners. I can contact Brad.
He's the head of the building inspection department.
No, he's just,
He works there. Okay. Well, I'll give him a call. I'll call my contact there, see if he's still there.
Yeah.
He was the head of it.
Thank you.
Next on the list is 227 Rustic Brook, which is the pile of steel roofing that's been sitting there. He was given an order to correct, and then it was passed on to the law director. Has there been a date or anything?
Well, I've got charges ready to file on 227 Rustic Brook and 484 Shorefield Drive. And in fact, we were gonna file them today, but the court was closed.
Oh, okay, okay.
But that'll be done like
There
this
was,
week.
there was somebody at the Rustic Brook residence when I came into the meeting. Rope was burning.
The what?
There was rope burning.
Rope?
I guess that's a polite way of putting it. Very strong aroma.
Oh.
There's a big pickup truck in the driveway and
Yeah. Well, and on to 484, also with the overgrown plant, underbrush, whatever you want to call it.
I've got charges ready. I was gonna file them today, but they fooled me. The court was closed.
The Shorefield Drive address, they have been working on it.
Yeah.
I can say that there has been progress, but it still is, it's a jungle in the back of the property and it's.
Well, I'll go ahead and get them filed.
Yes, please. Okay, other than that, I have a few permits. 22-018 at 535 Leelord was a permit for a driveway. 22-019 at 178 Brookshore Drive, that was a permit for a shed. 22-020 at 5 Bungalow Bay, that was the variance for that addition we did last month. 22-021 at 121 Clover Cliff Drive, and that was permit for a dumpster. The last thing on my list is a variance hearing for 242 Clover Cliff Drive. And the owner was unable to make it, and the contractor is here. One of our favorite contractors. On the flip side of your report is the map that I sent, the overhead. Alan, would you like to do the honors?
Okay, let me call the hearing on the application for the variance at 242 Clover Cliff to order. And let me ask Jim, who is the owner of the property?
The owner of the property is James J. Bowman.
Poyman, P-O-J.
P-O-J-M-A-N.
Okay. Have you notified him of this hearing and all of the neighbors of the surrounding properties?
Yes, I have.
Did you hear anything back from anyone?
No one. Well, I take that back. I talked to Pam and Bob across the street. And they were all for it.
No objection. Whoever's here, let me ask you this, what is the variance requested for this property?
Okay, in a nutshell, the existing house is approximately 9 feet from the north side of the property line, abutting Clover Cliff Drive. The owner would like to have a contractor construct a bedroom and bathroom extending the north side of that home and building no closer to the property line than the existing structure. So it's just a continuance of a non-compliant building. The wall's gonna continue in the same place, the roof line's gonna continue in the same place. And the addition will encroach the setback area on the north side, just as the existing structure does.
What's the front of the property on Clover Cliff?
Yes.
So this runs along the side of the property.
Front of the property's on Beachside.
Face it in
Actually, the actual address, because that's my fault, 242 Beachside, but the driveway is on Clover Cliff. So I don't know why that's how the addresses go. So
the house faces beachside.
Yeah, I guess it faces Beachside, but the
Yeah, the side house.
And the
Right,
mailbox
so-
is on Clover Cliff.
And it
So
has
this
a
is
Clover
the-
Cliff address.
This isn't the front setback,
Right, no,
the right of way, it's a side setback.
it's a side setback,
And what's required on the side?
5 on one side and 10 on the other.
And how much is on the other side?
I'm not quite sure, but I think it probably is like 5.
The other side of the house is a vacant lot. The other side of
Does
the
it show
house is
3
a
feet?
vacant
Yeah, but
lot.
there's a property line there, we still have to be so far.
It's his vacant, it's his vacant lot. He owns it. He lives across the street.
Looks like 3 feet on this diagram.
Yeah.
On the other side, and on this side, it's 9 feet. So the variance is requesting 1 foot,
1 foot.
because it's a side, okay. Whoever's gonna speak about this, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Okay, what's your name?
Gary Gretz.
And what's your involvement with this?
I'm a contractor.
Has the zoning inspector given us a clear statement of what the plan is and what the?
Yes.
Do you have anything you want to say about this, or to add to this?
No, just he wanted to do some extra room that we could winterize. The rest of the house cannot be winterized. It just is too close to the ground. So this gives the opportunity, to get a spot that he can be around when he retires.
You mean the main residence isn't winterized?
It can not be, the main residence cannot be.
Oh, okay.
Where the plumbing and everything is underneath, where we can bring it into this and actually keep this spot.
Okay. And this extension would go no further to the property line than the rest of the house, which is
Correct,
existed before the zoning board.
correct.
Does, anything else you want to add? Anybody else here want to have anything to say about this variance in this hearing? This property, anybody?
Well, I'll say, it's not changing the look of the cottage, it's a cottage, so it's not gonna be, it'll just look like an extension, it's the same color, same style as the cottage was, is a cottage, they just can't keep the cottage.
What's your name? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Margaret Glenn, I'm my father's daughter, Jim Quentin's daughter.
Okay.
And
Do you
my
swear this
daughter's-
testimony is true? Okay. Anything else you want to add?
No.
Do you live here?
I do, I live on Brookshore,
Okay.
one street over.
Council, do you have any questions?
Well, there is one other resident that lives right across from this property.
Oh,
Do you have any comment on this?
No, I have no objection, no comment.
And what's your name?
Nan Passananti, I live on Clover Cliff.
She lives directly across.
Okay, anybody else have anything they want to add? Okay, well, in considering this variance, number one, there's an Ohio law that says that when there's a non-conforming structure like this, that you should consider any reasonable extension or modification to it as a zoning matter. So the question is it reasonable? And also for a variance, this falls into the area variance category where the Supreme Court of Ohio has given us some guidelines. And these are not any one question determinative, it's just items you can give whatever way you think is important. Those are one, will the property yield a reasonable return or can there be a beneficial use of the property without a variance? 2, is the variance substantial? 3, will the essential character of the neighborhood be substantially altered, or will adjoining properties suffer a substantial detriment by granting this variance? 4, will the variance adversely affect the delivery of governmental services? 5, did the property owner purchase the property with knowledge of the zoning requirements? 6, can the problem be solved by some other manner than granting a variance? And 7, will the granting of the variance preserve the spirit and intent of the zoning requirements, and will substantial justice be served? So the question is, should the grant variance be granted? So I'm going to ask for a roll call vote, and you can vote aye or yes to grant the variance, nay or no to deny the variance.
Bud,
Yes.
Barb,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Tamitha,
Yes.
Keith,
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Okay, so the zoning inspector will issue a letter to the owner that the variance is granted, and that will conclude the hearing.
Okay. Do you have anything else for zoning?
That's all I have.
Yes, Bill?
Is anything happening with the Kirby's property? Kirby's property is just like 9 Parkway Path. It's falling apart, it's got a dilapidated boat in front of it, it's got a dilapidated car in front of it, and it's got animals falling in and out of it.
I spoke with the owner today, and I asked him to look into several things, and then I asked him to show up today, and he's sitting right here. So the questions that I had for him was the soffit on the north side of the building. It's the northwest side. That's one of the things that I saw was need fixed, and he said he would take care of that. And also I saw there was some small tree saplings and some underbrush, which he was going to take care of as well. Other than that, I don't have anything.
How about you, Mr. Kirby? Got anything to say?
Well, it is being recorded, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have a no trespassing sign in my window.
Well, we can't see your window, I don't think.
Well, that's the thing here is the truck is backed up to the deck. Now, how would Bill know that my plates are not up to date?
I don't know that your plates are not.
So you just make accusations? Is that what you do? You said I don't want you to read the minutes from August, what you said, or in the minutes? Do you remember what you said?
I don't, sorry.
Should I read the minutes from August?
You probably see that I said something about your property too. You can't
You
even
only
tell
said
there's
to
a house.
cite me, and that was on false pretenses.
I wanted them to maybe clean it up a little bit so a person could even tell there's a house there.
Clean what up?
When you drive by your house, you can't even tell there's a house there.
So?
So it just
There's
doesn't.
nothing in the zoning says you can't have trees, that's what they are.
Well, I know, but you got it covered up like a shed. So you have no trespassing sign, who could see it?
Alan, am I in violation of anything?
Well, I haven't seen your house. I've heard a lot of charges that could be
Well, one
violations.
particular.
As far as, I don't agree with the mayor that, you can't.
I'm the one that's been complaining, not him.
Well, no, that was just one complaint. But I don't think that there's anything in the code that prohibits you from having trees obstructing your property. But that's only one thing.
Okay, let's move on to the next thing.
What else was brought up? I mean, we had what?
There was
Plates are on the
soffit.
vehicle there.
Are the boats still there?
Boat's there, is there a boat, is that
Were
a
there-
violation on the boat?
Weren't there 2 boats there?
Yeah, one of them's.
Yeah, I moved one.
You moved
At
One was a
their
catamaran.
request.
Right.
And then there's one that's left there that is covered, that has a cover on it.
Did you say there was animals going in like the other house?
When you walk by the front, you can see some animals that look like they're crawling in and out.
What, can we identify these types of animals, Bill?
I'm sorry, I don't.
You don't know what types of animals? house.
Are they going in on the foundation or under the deck or?
It looked like they're going up into the eave.
I'm going to have my attorney write a cease and desist letter bill, and if this continues, it'll be followed up with another liable, whatever.
That's all right,
Well-
we pay an attorney, so
Yeah.
go ahead. do what you
Good
gotta do.
one. But,
Well, I have nothing to do with it.
but you know,
It'll
if,
have to be a civil lawsuit.
okay, but if there are any,
Slander, okay?
if there are any zoning violations, they'll be charged. You can be charged for that. If there are, I don't
You
know.
would have already cited me, correct?
Okay.
There's the eave that I spoke over the top of it, that's hanging down.
When's the last time you saw him today?
I talked to him today. Yep, there's the saplings and underbrush that I told him to correct. He said he would.
So you did tell him to correct some stuff.
So that's the front of the house. The trees-
You agreed to correct these issues.
Pardon me?
You agreed to correct the issues that were brought to you?
There's saplings that are in the back that have grown up over the past year. Yeah, I mean, I don't want them right on my foundation, absolutely. I'm gonna clear them out. But I'm not gonna take my walnut trees out, no.
Well, that
The
was,
city already moved an 18-inch walnut tree that disappeared, and I didn't, you know.
That's in
I
the
don't think
village.
you asked about that, the walnut tree, right?
That was in the village right away.
That was a village street.
Yeah, we took it out and paid for it.
About the eave,
Yeah, the eave has a soffit that's down and the underbrush that's in the back there. He's gonna clean up.
okay.
So
I
he
mean,
verbally said he was gonna do it.
You got whales here of issues, and you're on a minnow compared to what you have issues in the village. Would you agree?
Depends. I mean, that's really not relevant here, but if the conditions that could be violations will be corrected by you, will be done.
Yeah, that's.
Until the boat comes up again, like the last one went down.
Well, you've never been charged on the boat.
I moved it just to
Right.
make people happy. And now we're on to the next boat. I mean, it's okay for Bill to have a boat. I mean, his might be prettier, but
Well, there's a fine line between when a boat becomes refuse, you know, if it's falling
I
apart and all
understand
that, you know. It can be a boat in one state, in another state, it can be rubbish and refuse, you know.
I agree.
I don't think if you look in the minutes, Bill's the one that's been complaining.
He's the one who brought it up on August 3rd. He just brought it up tonight, that's twice. I don't know
I
about
brought it up
last
more than
month's
twice.
minutes, because I have, the minutes aren't in for October yet, are they?
No, I know it's been brought up a few times.
Pardon me?
I know that it's been brought up a few times. But if you and Jim can work together and you can correct the conditions that were talked about, then we're fine.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything else for zoning? Well then, Tamitha, community relations, please.
How is everyone tonight? Great. I don't have a whole lot. I never feel like I have a whole lot when I sit here and drone on for 10 minutes.
Well, feel free to do that.
I'm gonna try not to do that. I have a list a mile long of people to thank for help with the fall festival. So as far as I know, most of everyone who helped me, I sent you all each individual personalized message of thanking. So I'm not going to list off my 400 people today in thanking you individually here. But I do appreciate every single one of you all the time and everything that you did to help me out. And I appreciate everyone who actually came and enjoyed themselves at the festivities and had a good time and took advantage of everything that was going on that day. The other thing that I was gonna talk about was the CPR training that we did here at the hall. That was Friday. There were 8 attendees. I still have to get the invoice for you so we can submit that for our grant monies. Alan attended. He said it went well. He thought the ambient noise here in the village was a little hard to hear the training. They utilized our television for their presentation, so it was put to good use on that day. But I believe, I know there's at least 1 or 2 people here who were at the training, so any feedback on if you enjoyed it or not. I had 11 people scheduled, 3 people canceled, well, 2 canceled, 1 no-showed. So I know we still have monies left over for this fund. We didn't spend all of the money with the 8 people. So I don't know if you guys would be interested in holding a second CPR session, or if you want to try to appropriate those monies somewhere else. If we try to appropriate them somewhere else, it's got to be done in a hurry, because we have to spend it by December. We're running out of time.
I was very pleased. I mean, the young firemen, paramedics gave the training. Beyond CPR, they talked about the AED, and I personally have not had an AED course. Also, they talked about infant and child CPR. A lot of those are choking related scenarios, which are tangential to CPR issues. But I thought, compared to the one I had before, I thought it was substantially better. And I learned a lot. I know my wife was here, Kelly, Allison, I think anyone else was here. I thought it was very valuable. So if somebody in the village, I would put it out and have it take advantage of it. My only suggestion was when the fans kept on here, you can't hear. So that, and then we couldn't get them to turn off. So my preference would be to have it at the firehouse, would be.
Maybe between then and now, I can remember to come here early, the day before, crank up the heat if it's cold, crank up the AC if it's hot. So it doesn't run like it hasn't run tonight in our meeting, and I'm warm enough. Actually, it's a little too warm in here. I don't know how you guys feel. Because I did figure out how to use the thermostat finally on that day. And, or if you have the information to send to me, to share me the
Well,
app, we can do that too.
I have added some people to it. Joanne, Bud, and Alan, have all your emails have been added, so you should have gotten an invite so that you can.
Maybe I didn't understand what I was getting.
So, okay.
You did, Joanne?
No, you didn't get one either?
No.
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 Check your junk box.
I get other things from Barb, so that's kind of.
Well, it didn't come.
It's not all junk.
It didn't come from me, it came from,
Check spam.
I had 8 people who were committed in a matter of 2 weeks. I selected a date with the fire department. I put it out there on Facebook. We put it out there in emails. We used Claire's list, and I got 11 responses, a few more people who were actually village residents that were interested. I feel if I schedule another date in a month, do something in the beginning, first or second week of December, we can probably get another 6 to 7 people that would commit without a problem, having more time to work out their schedules. So how do you guys feel about me doing a second one to use up those funds?
So we have enough in the funds to, for 6 to 8 more.
My calculations with the funds that we had and what the fire department was charging us per head, we would be able to do 14 people.
Oh,
Total. And that was actually with a little bit of cushion. I gave myself some cushion. I rounded up instead of down when I did my calculations.
so you had 8, so you have room for 6 more.
I would imagine I have room for 6 more.
Ken, when I was evaluating it and the content, especially when the youth, child and an infant, child was, 2 to 12 or something like that, an infant, I thought of the beach attendants immediately. That's a good.
Well, that's who was supposed to be doing this in the first place.
Well, I agree, but I would make it mandatory.
Yeah, no, right, but it was after the fact. That's the problem.
I'm not disagreeing
You
with
could go in
you,
the
but
future.
I think for the position that they're at and the probability of an issue, I think it would be very viable.
I thought about that.
Attendance earlier next year too.
During the interview process and the hiring process. But
Right.
this came about after that fact, so it'd be very difficult to say, hey, by the way, you gotta do this. you know, a lot of people wouldn't.
Well, you could reach out to the ones that are wanting employment for next year.
That's a good, yeah, you know what? Just let them know that that's a requirement or a strong suggestion.
Well, some of them are gonna age out or they're gonna have another job, but.
Yeah, because
You might
we have
play your
14
cards.
spots, so we have room for,
Well, I can
Well-
schedule with the fire department literally the weekend before the beach opens and just have it be a mandatory.
how much time do you
Saturday.
have on it?
It's about 2 hours. anyway.
2.5 to 3 hours.
Now, how much time to use up the funds?
Oh, no, these funds have to be used by December 31st. So if
Okay,
we're lucky
okay.
enough to be awarded the same grant next year, because it's a grant that has to go towards something safety related, we could utilize the funds next year, but we won't know. When would we know if we got that grant again?
Probably by March.
Okay.
It's nice to, let it roll over and then make it a springtime
You
thing.
can't let it roll over, you have to pay it
Oh,
back if
yeah,
you
you
don't
just
spend
said
it.
that, yeah. All right, well, okay.
So you want to advertise to try to have this second time before the end of the year?
Yeah, unless somebody has another safety related expense that we could put it towards, but I
It's
don't
worth a
think we do.
shot.
I think all four, at least 3 of the 4 presenters went through the Career Center and emergency management or EMS training. So there was a couple of things. I'm wanting them to become comfortable with the fire department, number one, and see there is a career path there. And maybe, they're at a young enough age where maybe a vocational school for that particular career path might be of interest to them. So.
How much, what's the dollar amount?
Rounding up 65 ahead.
Okay. Gary,
Just
would-
look at it this way, what's a human life worth? Well, it's a pretty good
Well,
argument, 60.
my head's going in a different place. If we didn't use it for CPR training, could we buy smoke and CO2 detectors for the building and have them installed using that as a funding source?
What the issue is, we already identified what these monies would be used for, to be able to get the grant. To go in after the fact and say, oh, now we're going to change what we're going to use the money for, typically, you're not viewed that good by the grant issuing agency.
Okay.
So it's best if you identify this, we're gonna use it all in that one area. Can you? You can. Does that mean we might get rejected in future grant requests? Possibly.
So you need a motion for her to have that again, or that the money's already more or less there?
I think the money's committed, isn't it?
Well,
Money's committed.
I think probably go ahead, but, if we can time that out so that we're prepared by next meeting. If you can't schedule them by next meeting, then use the money for smoke and CO2.
He just
detectors.
said.
I understood what he just said,
You never go back.
but it's money that's there, that's available, and it's not gonna hurt us to ask.
I'd rather see the training be my highest priority, so you
Well,
can
I
go
would
into the
too.
next meeting and decide if we gotta go another way.
I would too,
So
but
Tammy, so go ahead and do what you gotta do, and you gotta talk to the firemen, coordinate all that too, and they'd be available,
Okay.
and then try to get your people.
Okay, I had a couple people ask me about Saturdays, because we did a Friday afternoon. I thought it would be, I wanted to try to get some kids or teenagers involved by doing it after school hours. That wasn't successful. So I'm gonna talk to the firemen about a possible Saturday.
Well, Fridays you have football games.
That's
and
true.
Marching band, so
Yeah.
that's more important to a kid.
That is true. So yeah, I'm hoping maybe a Saturdays, and that might be better for other people who have to work as well. It's just a matter of if they're available on Saturday. They've never given me Saturdays an option. They give me Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays as options when I've talked to them, but I'm gonna try and get a Saturday out of them.
I taught CPR at BW for 18 years, and it is one of the most important things you can know. You don't know when a spouse or a child, and it doesn't matter how old you are. Electrocution, suffocation, choking, sudden cardiac arrest. I mean, just to know what to do. I mean, I've had to use it on I've done CPR, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on students in class. So, I mean, I always thought it had to be a coworker, but it's twice on students. So you never know when you're gonna need it.
Tim, what's the criteria for your class? You have to live in the village or in the township or?
That's what we started with, being a village resident because it's village funds. I did have one attendee that was actually a coach at Cloverleaf High School because I didn't fill my 14 spots and she approached me. I asked her if she could wait until the day before. And if I didn't fill all the spots, I would give her one, and I did. I figure she's got our children's lives in her hands because she's at school with them every single day.
Coaches,
So-
it's required by the state, the coaches have to have it, it's required.
Yeah, so I did allow somebody who was not a resident to take the course, because I didn't have a full roster of people who wanted to do it at that time.
Well, another group that might be an avenue would be Cross Point Church. They're active in our community.
They have had AED training there because they had, in their side. I didn't go to that one, but that's a good point. They would be receptive.
Well, see what you come up with, Timothy.
Okay.
And one thing, Timothy and I had an opportunity to talk. One of the things we discussed between ourselves, we put lots and lots and lots of information on our website. And we continue to have people ask us questions that's readily available on our website, simply because they don't go there anymore.
Easier to ask.
Yeah, that's people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's people. But you got 8 or 10, so I think you're doing the right, and you know how to expand it. So you've already got the money. I'm just trying to get it done and spend it.
Okay, and that's all I have for this evening. Sorry, it was longer than 10 minutes.
Mark, do you have anything on Save the Lake?
I do not,
They're having a meeting this week.
Wednesday.
yes.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, we'll go to, does anybody have anything else to Tamsa? Okay, we'll go to bar, buildings and utilities.
Okay, so, it's through Google, the invitation went out, it basically said that you had to have a Gmail, but I know Joanne doesn't have a Gmail and it worked, and I've got Akron at brightideasshop.com.
I don't use that email.
Okay, so, we need you then. So if you have a Gmail account, give me your Gmail account, email address, and I'll add you to it. So it's through Google Nest, whatever, Google Home. Google Home, so, but I've got it on here, so I don't know if it went to your spam or what happened, but,
My stuff all comes in one spot.
okay, well, if you have, if any of you others have a Gmail account, I tried putting everybody's email in there, and it kicked some out and it accepted others, so you didn't get one, Bud? Because you have a Gmail,
Yeah, I did, and I did not.
Bud Hardesty 870 at
Who's it coming from?
Google Nest,
That would be who sent it?
Google, yeah, I mean,
So you have to have Gmail, you can't just download an app.
I don't know if you can have more than one person with once you get the invitation, you can put it on your phone. Should be
Okay,
able to
but you
download
have
it.
to have a Gmail
That's
account to
that's
get
what
the
it said when I
invitation.
tried to add it, when I tried to add the emails. I'll try to add yours again
Okay,
when I'm done here, but I know I played with it from home with this thing and it worked, so. I don't know. Feels very step, it's so much easier.
See what you got yourself into.
The technology, right? You just come up here, turn it on, set it to what you want.
I gotta know the challenge.
Shut it off when you get to the meeting and the fans aren't blowing.
This is about the time Ed should speak up and tell you he knows how to do that. I'm here at the table.
We can meet after if I can help them.
Well, see if I can get done here tonight. So, I mean, I followed the directions on here and added people to it, set up a household contact, invite a home member, did it. Shows that it's here, accepted it, but I don't know where it went.
I don't either.
So, all right, well then on to cameras for the tennis courts. I spoke with Astro Astro from Medina set everything up with Lodi. The biggest difference between us and Lodi is Lodi owns all of their stuff, their poles, their lights, all of that, so they can do whatever they want down there. We're pretty limited because we can't put anything on a high other than poles. So when I met with the guy in the tennis courts, he was just, we can do this, that, whatever. Tom Melter came out, he said, you guys can access my Wi-Fi, no problem. And the guy's talking about running Ethernet cables across the road over to Tom's house and connecting it hardwired like that. And then when the guy actually sent me a proposal, he says, nah, we're gonna try to probably stick with the hardwire route because it's the most secure, safest, most reliable, as opposed to Wi-Fi wireless ones. Ed had mentioned Blink, so I went in and got a bunch of information from the Blink systems. It's a wireless system. I got information about Arlo, which is a wireless system. You can, view it on a tablet. You can view it from the cloud. It's there. But both the guy from Astro and Vector both said, whenever possible, avoid Wi-Fi wireless cameras. The guy from Vector that does the public accounts, it was on vacation last week, and I didn't hear from him today, so still supposed to meet with him to come down. I know the guy from Astro said for $1,000 he could set it up if we had our own electric run to that pole. If we have electricity, we would just need a separate box. But anywhere along the line, we're going to incur some kind of a charge, monthly charge with a cloud fee or an internet connection fee, whether it's through Spectrum or Medina Fiber. We're going to incur some monthly charges for that outside of the installation fee. So meet with Vector, share with them this Arlo information, the Blink information, and then we can go with whatever Astro came up with. I think it's important that I like the idea of going with either Astro or Vector, just because, like the system on the building, in the event that there's an issue or concern, we've got a company that's, you can contact and troubleshoot with them through them, as opposed to a wireless where however many years you're updating it because they're obsolete, which seems like a month later it's obsolete, but just a little bit more reliable going through a company that's going to install it, that we can troubleshoot through them. So as far as Point Park and the beach, we would have to install our own poles, install a camera, get the wiring to it.
We only have one pole down there.
At the beach we do, so in the corner. Is that ours?
The big spotlight is ours, you
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah,
No, that's a good pole. I mean, it covers
Whole year.
yeah. Well, I don't know if it would catch the gate though without, I don't know, if it would get that, we'd have to cut back some of that plant life, some of the grass and stuff to see the gate.
These
For a
guys
second,
love
it-
to cut stuff down, so you
But
don't have to worry
the
about that.
concern was I don't know, which is the biggest concern, the gate or the porta john that was down there. I mean, it was vandalized several times. But, so we'd have to decide, we could put 2 cameras down there too, but I think we get this tennis court thing squared away. So I would like to encumber $1,500 so that we could either go with Astro or Vector, and once we speak with Vector, compare the two, and then run with it and get it going before the weather gets bad.
I second that.
All in favor? Opposed?
And Tamitha let me know last night, Mark just let me know, the one carriage light out front, I'm gonna guess it's the photo sensor on it, but the light is flickering on and off, blinking on and off, so I'm gonna guess that it's the photo sensor, so it may need to be corrected as well, so I'm gonna try to just swap out the bulb first, but if that doesn't work, then,
Is it an LED bulb?
no, I think it's one of those, fluorescent ones. Just a spiral, I think.
CFL, compact fluorescent.
I think that's what's out there. And I do believe that's all I have.
Does anybody have anything else for Barb?
Yes, we need a smoke and CO2
Yep.
detector for the building.
Doesn't the fire department give those out for free, or at least the smoke detectors? Pretty sure they do, they used to. Years ago, they
I
did.
don't know if on the zoning, the county building code requires them to be hardwired,
I would think there would probably be a
but I mean, it would somehow, I mean,
appropriate installation.
having it in here is great, but
Who's gonna hear them?
who's gonna hear it?
I'll reach out to Chief Winkler, see what they have.
You can get them connected to
That's what I was
You
gonna
can
say.
get it all connected, somebody at home will get an email.
Right, that's what will happen.
So it's in that damn Google.
Now, again, same thing though, same thing is, Vector can come in and install stuff like that as well.
Get the budgets, get the numbers.
Maybe there's a setting on your thermostat, your fancy thermostat, right?
Alarm, my tablet, does it shut up?
Smoke detector. Carbon
That's
dioxide.
a smoke detector. So in your phone, they control the thermostat.
They have the Google Home, that she already has with the thermostats, and it would all connect. And then it could be alerts, which, because nobody's ever out here, so I agree, I like her.
I mean, it would give me an alert that I would get the next time I turn my tablet on.
Well, you don't have to be the sole receiver of.
Right, well, that's why I tried to add people, and apparently I didn't do it right.
Keep trying.
We'll figure it out.
But, yeah, again, same like Joanne said, who's gonna know if it's going off, other than, and what are we gonna do? I mean, we can notify the fire department, but.
Well, that's what I would do.
Well, yeah, that'd be the first thing, unless you got the notice half hour.
I mean, that's obvious, but, I mean,
Hook it up with the Nest and you can't alert the fire department.
what's that,
You can't alert the fire department if you're hooked up.
network it?
Like the Nest.
Nest, and yes.
I was kidding, Jim.
Okay, you got anything else, Barb?
No.
Okay, you got something, go ahead.
Just a suggestion, maybe buying a new iPad, because that's your personal iPad, and you're controlling all the things for the village with that. And if you're expanding all this stuff, it might not be a bad idea to have, rather than using your personal equipment, just a suggestion.
But if she's gonna share it with other people, they're gonna be using their personal phones and their.
I mean, I have the security camera software on here as well, so.
Yeah, so I mean, I know you have a lot loaded on there. It just, I don't know, something to think about.
That's all I have.
Let us know if you need a new iPad, and we'll have these guys tell you what kind to get.
Chromebook, Chromebook.
What's that? What's the Chromebook cost?
300, 340.
No, a Chromebook is cheap technology.
Okay, so I wanna cover $500 to get a Chromebook. Make a motion to encumber $500, get a Chromebook.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Wait a
Opposed?
minute, you have to make sure that software works on
It
the
does.
Chromebook.
It
I have
has,
it on mine, for my house.
Maybe you should have an advisor. No offense.
I nominated, I nominate Mark.
So,
We'll both work on it.
ask Ed or Mark before you make a move, just to be sure, okay?
I'll check with Vector to see if the security cameras work on a Chromebook.
Okay.
Cause I know the Nest will, but I'll check with Vector.
And Barb, I've got Gary set up at Best Buy in Fairlawn, nonprofit, a tax exempt account there. I think, Gary, can they do that, or does it need me to do? I can help you there. Just identify what you want to buy. We'll get it done.
Okay,
Okay, is there anything else for buildings and utilities?
no.
Okay, Ken, parks?
Well, nothing on the beach front, that's finally done for the year. We don't have any current projects going on and nothing really to report. Bungalow Bay, Park over there, we have the choo-choo, half painted, it's probably gonna be done this week coming up. The swing is not done, but that's gonna be done as well. I was told these are all gonna be taken care of. And the person that's taking care of those two items are gonna go down to and reinforce the train down at Point Park. I don't know, some of you know it's, you know, it can come down, it's kind of dangerous at this point. I know Bill looked at it, he said that it's gonna need a lot of reinforcing or a lot of work on that. So we'll see what he comes up with. And then after the tennis courts, we have our signs ordered. We should get them within the next 3 weeks or so. There's gonna be 2 signs per entrance, court rules, and then a welcome to Allville Court, or Allville, what I have other memorial courts. So they're beautiful signs, so it's gonna be really nice. So that's, we're just waiting on, finalized everything, so that's happening probably the next 2 to 3 weeks. So that'll be good. And I don't have a whole lot to talk about today.
Well, Gary had a thing underlined in the minutes, which means we should follow up. It was about the park on Briarwood Boulevard.
Yep, I'm on that, I just don't have a lot more, a couple more things here, but yeah, we have. Yeah, I have a surveyor come up and stop out there, and she's gonna have that surveyed, because that's the first step, you have to survey it, and then you have to fence guy out and take care of that. You're talking about the one over.
By Roots.
Right, yeah. Then we're gonna have a fence erected. The problem is, she's having a problem locating the back end of the property. Because the property doesn't exist anymore.
It's in the creek.
So that's, I told her it's probably about, 5 to 7 feet in the air out there.
Depending on the Harry and Holly's property is, I know where those pins are, which one of them should be the back end of.
Yeah. So you can still locate it. It really doesn't matter, because we're gonna put the fence. I told her, take your best shot at it pretty much, and we're probably gonna build the fence at least 7 or 8 feet in from that section, whatever it's.
There's a pin at the top of the hill on my dad's side.
Yeah.
It was set with a string that ran from the one that was at the time in the creek to the one at the front.
Okay.
So it's the corner of his patios here, and there's a pin and a tree, right?
All right, I'll let her know. And if she has any, if you mind if I have her reach out to you?
Go right ahead.
Okay, good. Yeah, I want to get that handled. I want to get something, at least, I'd like to have the fence erected before snow happens, but that's gonna be right around the corner. So hopefully we can get this taken care of. And then, of course, the tree, I wanted to ask you, did you, is that tree that I talked to you about, there's a tree between Clover Cliff, I'm sorry, on Clover Cliff between house 111, 113, is that on our property, or?
It looks like it's ours, or it's at least shared.
Okay.
The property owner. It looks like it's close enough to be ours.
I looked at it, looked dead, or it looked like it was in some trouble.
Well, it's in a lot of trouble. It's got four branches coming from the trunk, and it's splitting between the halves of them. It's about 4 feet from the ground now. AJ's coming out tomorrow to look at it.
Well, good, okay, all right, great.
I'm figuring that we're probably gonna have to take it out.
I had a note, so I wanted to ask you about it.
Is that in our right of way or?
I believe the most of it is. At least 60% of it is.
And there's a sewer right there too.
There's
probably roots in it right at this point.
What's the address? 111 Clover Cliff and 115. It's the two end house.
If he's coming out, there's a tree on Garmin that is I don't know, I saw it this morning, it came over and it got caught on a limb from another tree, it's hanging over Garmin. I don't know if it dumped off at the roots or if it snapped off or what, but it came down and it's leaning over Garmin.
Was it marked? We have,
There's a couple down there that are marked, but
there's a number of them that we've marked and it's
this one was a little bit farther into the woods.
probably
And it
not ours.
Came down, well, don't we own that lot? Or do
We own a lot of it, but who
That
knows?
one, that guy there owns one of the lots. Mr. Purvish. On Garmin. He owns that.
Back behind
the
the
one
Amber's
lot
house.
behind.
Oh, my God, sorry.
They're, on Garmin and Chippewa Road on the corner there, on Garmin.
Oh, okay.
He owns the lot between Delacus and the one that's on the corner.
Right.
So are the lots going up Garmin this way or on Craggy Creek this way?
That lot's on Garmin, north of Delacus property.
Is ours?
No, it's his.
Okay, that might be yours then.
What's that?
A snapped off tree.
I don't know if it came up worse at all, but it's coming down and the limb on another tree caught it and hit the road.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't know exactly where, I mean, I know it's on
Would
Garmin.
that be in the village right away?
No, the one that
It would
came
be
down
now.
is, well, based on the fire plug and the telephone poles, whatever, but it's inside the property, but it came down and got caught in a tree.
Oh, okay, right.
So,
I'm not exactly sure on my boundary, but it's right around the hydrant.
yeah, I'm not
Here,
sure.
but I think I go more up the hill than the guy in the corner.
Yeah, I saw it when I was walking the dog this morning.
And then there's 3 more lots to go to Chippewa.
I'll try to take a look when I walk home tonight.
My house did not have
Another side.
And
chef's sale.
the last thing I have is Valley View sprayed 5 times in September, they're done for the year. After the first frost, they're no longer needed. And that's it, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Yeah, I do. On the items you have yet to do, that you want to do this year?
Yes.
Do you have a budget number of where you want, how much money you're gonna need? Because we are getting towards the end of the year.
Yeah, good point. I'll have that to you.
Okay, because if I have to appropriate extra monies, I need to know fairly soon,
Okay,
okay? Hey, if you take a look at your budget, if you need me to assist, I'll be happy to. You can see what monies you've got left, and I just need to know if you're gonna have enough here, or do we need more?
I should have enough,
Okay,
but I'll go through everything.
yeah, if you have any questions, give me a call.
Okay,
If you guys are gonna take trees down that are in the right of way, again, we're getting near the end of the year, let me know the cost to make sure we got the monies already available.
Yeah, AJ's gonna take the one down on Briarwood, that's from last year. That oak that's behind that lady's house that was losing branches on her roof. He's gonna do that one, and he's gonna,
There's more than one there, there's like 4 there.
well, yeah, you know,
We're calling it one.
we're calling it one because it's an area.
Okay.
But then, I don't know, is there any other ones that was, he said that he had done everything on the list already.
No, he needs to get up on Bungalow Bay, because I've got that oak that's cantilevered over the tennis court.
Now, are these the ones that you guys have already told Gary about or not?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, he's never sent me an invoice, so if he's done the work, he's never invoiced us.
He's like a year behind on that.
And if that's the case, you know, your available monies will be decreased, could be decreased substantially, depends what his charges
I
are.
already earmarked the money for the tree work that's been done,
Okay,
so it's a matter of him getting his invoice in.
And
So I'll work on that.
okay.
in September, either the September meeting of 21 or October was when we brought up the one on Briarwood. And we got a number from him that night.
Is that 2021? Well, we're in 2022. So those monies that you appropriated, they're, you know, forget about it. They're gone.
And that was
what do they have in parks and in zoning?
Well,
Rebate?
Do you have a
without my
record?
getting all the invoices, I can't be too specific. I mean, right now zoning shows $7,600 in repairs and maintenance of land and buildings.
Oh, we need more than that.
And another 3,000 in personnel services, but that's related to payroll, so we can't use that. So basically you got 7,608, about $8,400.
We should get 5,000 more. There's a bunch of trees that need to come out. But I don't know how many it's gonna
What are you
get.
gonna surprise me?
Well, Matt did it so much.
Do these trees all have to come down this year, or you got some that can wait till next year, since you had one hanging around for 2 years already?
We'll talk here shortly and I'll get you.
One of those trees on, Garden Road, do need to get some work done on, because that one tree that's just hanging is looking like it could come anytime. And it is dead.
Well, I know, but they're talking about all these other ones, and I know you guys are always finding trees around to take down, but again, if you got some that aren't immediately gonna fall over, and they got a little life in them, and I know AJ will tell you that, then you can hold them off till next year, you don't have to get them all done the same year.
Yeah, he has a day charge, so you can buy him for the day for $3,500. And he could take out 10 or 11 trees. Or he could take out one tree for 2,000. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather say, hey, let's get 5,000 more, and if we need to have him for a day to take out a bunch, then we have the money for it.
I can handle that with a personal conversation. I don't need.
Yeah, just give me a call so I know what we gotta do.
Okay, I'll do that.
Ed, did you have a question for you?
Quick question, the tree on each side, what, was that a limb came down or did we trim, or I was just curious?
That, I don't think we own that. You're talking about the one right next to
All
the,
the barrels were around?
yep, yeah, isn't that's not village
There were some
property.
people that were greatly concerned about some dead branches that were up there in the tree, and they were dead, and they're a little bit iffy, but once you're notified about them, if you don't take care of them, you're in a big world of hurt, so they got taken care of.
That's the village property, isn't it there?
Yes.
Yeah.
I realize that.
Yeah, because we own one.
The
lot.
Fred's own that.
No, we own
Okay.
one lot off of them.
Okay.
So it was trimmed then, or whatever?
Yes.
Is that what he still has to invoice us for? Because again, I have not gotten any invoices from him at all. All this year. So he needs to get his billing current, so I know how much monies we got.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, got anything else for parks?
That's it.
Okay, Keith, streets?
Phase 9's done, we're working on phase 10 and all's well. There's only one problem, we've got this sewer that was all laid up about 100 years ago, that's been taken care of. We did some scoping to make sure it had something to open up into.
This is the one on Rock Ridge?
Yes, ma'am. That was taken care of. There's fellows to be doing the seeding and getting that dressed up.
Okay.
Um,
When are we supposed to hear about phase 9? I forget. When did, Garrett?
You'll hear about phase 9 if we got the award. Let's see, the district's probably meeting in October this month.
Then they tell you if it's
No,
moving on?
well, then they tell you if it's moving on. And if it is, the district will make their decision by the end of the year.
So it moves on either to,
Just because you get it approved
OPWC,
locally, it still has to be
Columbus,
approved at district. Yeah, district is basically Columbus,
or else it'll go to small government.
which is all the same. It's all handled through OPWC. It's basically transparent. So Keith should hear before the end of the year whether we got it or not for phase 9.
And then, just a little out of my jurisdiction, but will there be some signs up on the tennis court that say, there will be surveillance? I mean, you know, a lot of
Yes, there is.
kids, giving kids the benefit of the doubt. Some of them don't make real good decisions and it follows into, middle age and old age and that sort of stuff. But you can see how a kid could ride a bicycle across the tennis courts and it would not be a great thing. So having the rules, I think is nice, and maybe having a nice sign made that say video surveillance. And that way, we're gonna help raise good, healthy kids that'll be able to read and obey them instead of potential criminals that have, something, when they're 21. Well, you rode your bike across the tennis courts when you were 12. You see what I'm getting at is maybe a sign saying that.
Maybe we gotta get the cameras up first before we put that up, or we should put it up anyway.
I'd put it up anyway.
Yes.
But I'm trying to figure out where it's at.
Not something huge, but I mean, something that's noticeable, that just help people make a good decision.
You could have the engineering department make that.
What?
Your engineering department money to make.
I've got a guy that'll make a wonderful sign.
When Vector put the cameras on the building, they did give us signs that we do have in the windows.
Yeah, how big are
They're 12 by 18, I think.
That's big enough.
Right there behind Gary and Alan, I think, or maybe right here. In the window. They gave us.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. So,
I'd just like to make sure that we do have some deterrent.
so I mean, I don't know if Astro does it, but I know Vector does, so they, whoever goes with the services, it can just probably give us more signs.
Yeah.
And, Keith?
Yeah, something like that, just, help keep people straight. That's fine.
I have a question about the tennis court rules. Are they the same rules that we have in the code? The code book?
I don't.
I can check.
No, I don't think so, I would say.
Yeah, probably
I
they are.
didn't realize they would have to be in there.
Well, if we ever want to enforce them legally.
Probably most of them, I'll just leave this to you.
Okay, try Mickle.
Yes.
Yes.
That'd be great. I'll check them out.
Okay.
Can do an ordinance being specific with them, right?
Well, there is an ordinance. I just want to see how this compares and if we need to change it.
Tweak it, yeah.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Okay, anything else for streets?
Yes. I'm trying to get some quotes on a rotating maintenance for all our storm sewers on like a 3-year rotation. Because some people, you'll see when you're driving up the road behind or in front of and beside the storm sewer, the concrete edges, sometimes you often find that there's a little bit of a settling of the asphalt. That means there's a bad connection down below and that the water is sucking out the ground with the subsoil. And then your asphalt falls. You can always patch it, but then you're gonna patch it and patch it and patch it. Or you can have them fixed, somebody come in and pick out the bad ones and then take care of them in an appropriate manner with the high grade material. That's not real easy to find, but I'm looking for somebody, some outfit that could do that. Mark Grossi knows what I'm talking about. He could maybe explain it to you. But that's it.
Okay, law director, Alan.
Well, Ellen, wait, Ellen, can you, try to give me, if you don't mind, I don't want to rush you or anything like that, but I don't want to, if I'm missing something on that, that's really important. No, you could have that, but, because we ordered the signs.
Okay, it looks pretty similar, but
Okay.
the rules that we actually passed are a little older, so.
Okay, so maybe.
I'll let you know right away.
Revamp them a little bit, but I don't want to have missed something on
Right.
there and then.
Well, I think you got the basics covered.
Okay.
But I'll just check it real quickly. Okay, I have 2 cases in court. One is 9 Parkway Path, which we talked about. And the second one is conviction of a defendant for disorderly conduct, and he'll be sentenced tomorrow. Beyond that, a question last month was about construction on the point. And I sent everybody a copy of the deed restrictions. And bottom line answer is no, you can't build a pavilion on the Point Park because no building is allowed.
What if it's not permanent?
Well, that might be a good way to do it.
Then it'd be
You know,
removed.
it's a these deed restrictions just say no building of any kind. So is it a building or not a building? I mean, that's it.
See where it says except the boathouse or bathhouse.
Not accepting boathouse or bath, that's really weird language, but you know, this was written in 1933. Not accepting boathouse or bathhouse means you can't build a boathouse or a bathhouse. But you know, you can put up ornamental fencing and furniture, outdoor furniture, et cetera, tennis court. You can read these, but it doesn't allow a building.
Put up a tennis court?
You can. Tennis courts or other similar moderate recreational uses, providing that consent in writing is first obtained from the grantor. That would be the owner of the lake, but that village would inherit that right.
I think those lots in Old Barwood.
I think the thought process was to put it
Yeah,
on
they have a
top.
lot of weird stuff like that. You're not allowed to make wine on the property.
A recreational pavilion, that terminology?
Well, it says,
No structures.
this limitation, nor shall this limitation apply to tennis courts and other similar moderate recreational uses. I suppose you could fit a pavilion into that phrase. Similar recreational uses.
A pavilion's not like a tennis court.
No, but it's also recreational. And it's
But if we
also,
put a shuffleboard court on the floor of it.
ooh, a
it's just
similar,
covered shuffleboard court.
so it's a shuffleboard.
There you go,
pavilion.
Mark.
Alan would, their sons in their old records still have all the covenants.
Well, these are the covenants that I know. This-
How far back did you go?
Well, this was 1933,
You got them all?
and this was when the trustees owned the property. Well, as far as I know, I mean, I have what was in the public, in the record, the deed records.
Okay, because
You know.
Larry was Larry and his son's the old man.
Right, I know.
Grandfather now.
But if, you know, the trustees passed some rules and regulations, those are gone now. I mean, that's ancient history. But these are in the deed, so.
Okay,
You
so
can
those
count on
would be
these.
the only thing enforceable.
The only thing I'm aware of, yeah. And, there's a little shorter list that covers L through.
Yeah.
Doesn't this say right here that these are from 1925?
Yeah, well, the ones on A through I, and then the ones on M are from 1933. That's when the deed was recorded and signed. But that's the best answer I can give you.
That's kind of half the answer.
I know. Well, it's.
What about putting it on blocks possibly and having some sort of where technically you could pick it up and move it, but you're not going to?
Well, they didn't put that in
That's the
here.
same thing you do on the beach.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it.
Covenants that disappear
No, these are them.
mostly.
Okay, well,
Did specify permanent, that was the big word,
Hmm.
permanent, that if it could be moved,
yeah, I haven't seen that.
it would be.
Get enough water from up there.
Well, you still chain it down.
Right, leave it some, keep it.
You're gonna need 2 footers for it to sit on, and you just chain it down.
Well, look,
But it's mobile.
technically, you know, if you had a solid foundation, but the house or the structure could sit
Oh,
on
this is, you
and
can't make
be
wine.
moved with. It was quite nice.
I think what Keith was saying last time though is that this opens up a can of worms for everybody on the
That's what I'm
lakefront.
saying, and that
The
can of
lakefront
worms is
and
best
the
left
lots
closed.
all have the same guidelines,
No,
right?
that can of worms is best left closed.
Well, I could show you on here, the point is block M that has one set of covenants. Then from there down to the Oaks has another set of covenants. And then north of the creek, it's a whole different ballgame. There are a lot of restrictions on that property, but it's privately owned.
Right.
I mean, totally privately, you can't take a walk on that property.
Private, no redress, no regress.
So I
It's
don't,
a bridge
the
down.
key word is building. Is it a building? Well, no, it's a pavilion.
There were some of the same, group that also asked for a second bocce ball court.
Oh, I don't have a problem with that. That's,
Jan and some of them, Jan was the one that made this initial request. There were some of them that did ask for a second bocce ball court.
well, tennis
So they can
courts,
have their little tournaments or
allowed.
whatever they want.
tennis courts are
Just
similar, moderate.
something you can put down there.
Right.
Much
So
more.
we have one already.
I know, but if they have tournaments, they can use two.
Yeah.
Covered basketball courts.
Is that right, Bill? You need two?
Yeah, right.
I think before that, a better swing set for the kid, that would give more use than, another bocce ball court, I think.
I think I've seen more people playing bocce than I've seen kids on the playground.
I see them all the time.
I know, I see kids on the playground, but there's like 50.
No, we already have one of those, so they just gotta wait their turn.
Well, playground equipment, Ken, is pretty expensive. You'd have to really check into some of those
Yeah.
prices. It's not like we don't need any because we haven't really got any new stuff for quite a while, but it is really costly.
It is, I did some research on it, it's more than, unless we got a grant for it, that's difficult to get.
ODNR has
Public
grants
land.
for stuff like that.
What's that?
ODNR has grants for stuff like that.
Yeah, Nature Works.
Yeah, original.
There have been grants, I know.
But a lot of them are, if our parks are private, that eliminates a grant. They want everything public. Remember, they got one year and we turned it down because we had to make everything public.
Yeah, that's from what I understand, but I'll do some research on
Why
it.
don't you make it public with private parking lots?
There you go.
Well, yeah, it's easier if it just stays private. Okay, the other question I had I was given was golf carts on Lake Road and Chippewa Road. And my research, my opinion is you can drive a golf cart on Chippewa Road and Lake Road where it touches the village, because then it's really a village road. And the village would have,
The village Chippewa Lake.
Lake Road.
yeah. In other words, you can't drive a golf cart to Glory Glens because you leave the road that's in the village. Right? That's all pure township. But as long as it's part of those roads that are adjacent to the village. And some of the maps, I was looking through old maps, some of the maps have your village going to the middle of the road. Some of them have it going through all the road. So,
But either way, it kind of stops at, stop and go.
right,
So like, you
right.
couldn't go like
right.
up Heather Hedge supposedly
You know,
and over to the stop and go from that area, you'd have to come.
You can't even go to the post office.
That's right.
right. Now, if Lafayette Township passed a resolution allowing golf carts there, you could. That's all it would take.
Which is what we're gonna ask you to take care of.
You're asking me to swing the trustees your way.
I think we need to approach the trustees and tell them.
Sure.
I think they're receptive.
Yeah, they'd probably be receptive. Get on the agenda, one of the meetings, talk about golf carts.
Get the folks down in the Glens to do the same thing with Westville Townships.
That would be helpful.
They're not in Westfield Township anymore.
That's right, they're their own township down there.
Well, theoretically.
Then you have to Westfield Township.
The
to
space
get-
between Lafayette Township and them is Westfield Township. So-
Yes, Westfield could allow golf carts on parts of their roads, just like Lafayette could. You already have, you know, so.
Is it appropriate that you contact,
I think maybe going to a meeting and talking about it, you know, rather than having me do it, because,
well, I'm just trying to understand procedural issues.
well, procedurally, you just want to ask the trustees, will they do it?
Right.
So I think if you make a short presentation to them, that's better than me sending a lawyer letter.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah, because then they're gonna give it to the county
I
prosecutor.
didn't know whether I should do it
And then
or.
somebody's gonna say, well, if you'd let them do that in that part of the township, you gotta do it in the whole township, and then they won't wanna do that, because it'll put it up to many big roads.
It's only
And
on
they don't have to do
35
that,
miles.
they can make it just here, because this is a golf cart community.
Oh, you think the people in Lafayette that want a golf cart living somewhere are gonna let them get away with that?
No.
No, they're not.
Down on 100
Well, it boils down to
Better off
politics.
doing what you're doing now, which
They
is
might already.
What's that?
just go where you go.
Well, if you're in the village part of the road, you're okay, in my opinion. That's all I had to report on.
Okay, Gary, finance, please.
Okay, this past Saturday, I did distribute the bank reconciliation report, reflecting all accounts are in balance. Are there any questions or comments on the bank reconciliation reports? I have a motion approving the bank reconciliation report for sign off.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. On Saturday, I also distributed the appropriations report for council to review. Are there any questions on appropriations through the end of September? Okay, we have a motion approving council to sign off on the September appropriations report.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. I did contact NOPEC because I wanted to make sure that our previously awarded grant monies are still going to be available in lieu of all these changes. And I did get an email back from them on October 3rd that the funds will remain available for use so long as we remain in good standing. I've now asked them to define good standing. So we don't lose those monies, right? So as soon as I hear back from them, I'll let everybody know. We already talked about the revised uncommitted fund reports for the endowment fund and the park portion of the endowment fund. And I sent out a revision. That was a revision I sent out on Saturday. Were there any questions about endowment funds for parks or in general? Okay. Tonight we need to vote on resolution 502-22. And that allows us to collect all of our property tax and levy monies. Alan, you want to do the first reading?
Sure.
Please.
Your Honorable Mayor, go ahead.
No, he just is handing it to you.
Should I have the first reading? Okay. This is the first reading of resolution 502-22 by title only. It is a resolution accepting amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. And it should be passed as an emergency. And it needs to be passed because this is, you have to pass this to collect your tax monies from the auditor's office. So is there a motion to waive the second and third reading?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Is there a motion to adopt resolution 502-22 as an emergency?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. Thank you. You need Keith's sign off on that. Send that over to him, please.
Says sign here.
Thank you. As of the end of September, the balance in the primary checking account is down to $75,345.41. That's because of the big expenditure in October. Money market is at $250,304.55. And Star Ohio is at $194,613.59 for a total of $520,263.55. Are there any questions about the balances? Okay. Tonight I'm asking council for a motion to allow the fiscal officer to transfer $95,000 from the Star Ohio account into our primary checking account. And this is primarily to replenish, I should say, the $84,000 that we paid out thus far on endowment fund projects. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you very much. That's all I have for finance.
Okay, is there any more old business? Okay, we'll go to the audience. Christopher, do you have any questions for us?
No.
You want to be a councilman or a mayor someday, so you can have all this fun?
I've been thinking about it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Bill? Kelly?
I have one question. Is it legal or illegal for me to take my golf cart to Goodman's or the post office today?
Illegal.
It's illegal.
It's illegal.
Correct, because that's township, all
Okay, just wanted
township
to be
roads
sure
at
that-
that point.
If 2017 Ohio passed a law that as long as the street speed limit was 35 miles an hour, you could put a golf cart on it.
And that law,
Continue reading.
that law only applies if the local government approves golf carts on the roads.
So Lafayette Township does
Which is,
not.
which is why we're saying if Lafayette Township goes along with it,
Okay, so.
yes, but if not,
Village Inn also is in Lafayette.
yeah.
But it borders
The village.
like Chippewa and Lake Road does. Part of Longacre right there by the Village Inn is in the village.
No.
Yes, it is.
Just
So if you have a
South
hospital
side.
do 36 miles an hour.
across
The
from.
Village Inn.
If your golf cart gets
Well,
30
that doesn't matter.
That
So
first
the
house
speed
down,
limit
Mark,
on
you
the
know
road
that is in
Right,
Lafayette.
but the other side of the road is in the
Road
village.
has to be 35 miles an hour or less. And the government, the local
Well,
government.
Sure.
it doesn't seem to be an issue. I see a lot of golf carts at the Village Inn, and I'm not calling cops on it.
The 4 deputies that cover the village would probably not cite anybody. When you get a problem, you have an outside deputy,
Right.
he might say something. And that's where the original golf
Can just be
cart
nice and say, I'm
issue
sorry.
is somebody was driving from Gloria Glens to the village. And that is clearly not.
That's why it's nice, a lot of deputy gave them.
Yeah. Leslie?
Yeah, real quick, up at the tennis court, on the parking lot that's on the south side that faces the Weimers. On the southeast side, there's a post similar to the posts at the end and the top of the walkway. Okay, are you familiar with those posts? Okay, well, on Howard Wolf's side of that tennis court parking lot, there used to be one, and it's completely in the ground, and it's like on its side down, like pushed in the ground. So I noticed it a couple times when I was walking. I didn't know if anyone was aware that that post had fallen over. If you care, if you wanna pull it out. I took photos of the one that's standing and the one that's pushed down into the ground. So it almost looks, if you didn't know what it was, it almost looks like a parking, one of those, yeah, exactly, like it got pushed down the ground, but it's not. It's actually one of those white posts, and it got pushed over and squished in here. So I'm just making you aware of it. That's all.
There's some posts up that way they have to look at anyway. They can put that on their list. Ed?
I'm good, thank you.
Howard? Mr. Privish? Where are we at? Mark?
Good. How's the engineering coming with the creek?
Haven't done anything yet.
Okay.
Are we still waiting on or what? Are we on the list?
I'll call and ask. I suspect it's allowing the vibrant summer foliage to die and wither.
Oh.
So they can get in there and work.
Need some help, I got a weed eater.
Lisa?
I have a question. The walkway from the beach up to
Yeah.
Bungalow, it now says walkway only, no bikes?
Correct.
Why?
Because kids come racing down there at a high rate of speed and they do not stop at the bottom and they might kill themselves. But on the other hand, we know they do it all the time. And so do other people on bikes, I guess.
Well, I've used it.
And then those little motorized bikes were going up and down
That
there.
I understand.
So if you put the sign up, then you got a reason to stop them. Because there have been a lot of complaints about those things. I don't know, maybe they caught up with them because they haven't been around.
There's an ordinance
Huh?
What?
on the walkway. Because it says tennis courts, no bikes, basketball court, no bikes, nothing.
But I'll take you over my number. Somebody might probably use it.
Okay.
And, the other comment I have is, anybody on the council that wants to look at the web pages and tell me any updates? I haven't asked you for a while, but I never know if there should be changes made. There's a parks page, there's a safety page, there's a zoning page, all that. If you have anything you want me to change or add, let me know.
I sent something to Katrina, the company wanted to include a post about, how to get, assistance with your utility bills.
The homepage has things about utility bills,
I just,
internet bills.
yeah,
I don't know if they're current or not.
I sent it to Ellen to see if it was approved and any, acceptable. He said, yeah, I'll look into the email and send it to us.
You aren't doing Facebook with Katrina, are you? But she still got that yard sale on there. I was wondering why, if she was out of town or what.
I try not to do Facebook, but I'll do it if she can.
But Village Yard Sale's been on there for quite a while.
She's out of town right now.
She's still out of town?
New Hampshire.
She's playing pickleball around the world.
United States.
Professional.
Wow, I'm sure.
I didn't know she was still doing that. Mark?
With interest rates going up, it might be worthwhile for the village finance committee to consider moving some of our treasure into certificates of deposit with much higher interest rates.
Here's that.
Yeah, Mark, you, I presume, received what I sent you about the restrictions from the state on those investments? I sent that to you several months back.
Yeah, I do know, my sister is a fiscal officer for City of Overland, and they do a lot of CD investing. So,
Okay.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Can you, at some point, give me her name and number, please?
Yeah, I can give you the name of the consultant that they use, which
Okay.
helps. Yeah.
That'd be great, thank you.
Andy?
So Mark and I were thinking the same thing. Gary, you mentioned you're moving money from STAR account to the checking.
Yes.
Does that make sense with the interest rate?
Unfortunately, I put all the endowment monies into the Star Ohio.
What does that pay?
Pardon?
What does that pay for interest?
Oh, they're up to like something like 3% or something.
And what is the checking account?
Oh, less than 1%. Oh, wait a minute, checking account is less than 1%.
Well, you just moved another 80 grand or 90 grand from 3% to less than 1.
Right, part of that, I know we're gonna have some upcoming expenses, plus monies that have already been paid out that I gotta make sure I have sufficient cash on hand to cover those. I should say cash, I should say balance in the checking account. Yeah.
Allison? Okay, we're going to new business. Okay, there's one piece of new business I brought. I handed you this, all of you this email. I don't know if you had time to look for me because I'm not even going into what goes on my computer, but this is from this Chuck Kuiper from NOPEC, and basically what he's saying is he wants me to sign this letter that's attached on the second page, showing that we approve of NOPEC and we like NOPEC, and I believe that they're getting challenged in court. I know that says that.
There's that good standing.
The PUCO is threatening suspension of their electric operating certificate filed last Wednesday. So the rest of the world has till October 27th to submit comments either for or against NOPEC made in our response. We anticipate the number of competitors and others will file comments. NOPEC will be able to reply to these comments on November 3rd. So this is why they want, I want you guys to look over that letter and see if you want me to send it back to them or not. It's up to you. Basically, it says I'm the mayor and I support NOPEC, but I just want to make sure all you guys support NOPEC.
I don't use them.
I don't use them either, but we did pick them for aggregation. I haven't heard anybody really say anything about if they're saving money. I know we got that one electric bill we get for the town hall, but I can't tell whether they have those set up, whether we're saving any money with that part of it or not. Part of electric's in NOPEC, I don't even get it. And part of it's Ohio West and all in the same bill, but it's hard to tell. Do any of you use just NOPEC, and have you noticed some dramatic change in your
Yes,
electric bill?
yes, dramatic,
Lower or higher?
higher, like
NOPEC's higher?
$200 catch up, and it's an extremely complicated configuration that you have to wade through to figure out.
Is this something like they do with budget billing, where then all of a sudden you hit a month where you're either gonna pay a little bit more, or you're gonna pay a little bit less, because you're
Yes,
catching up?
and that's why I asked the question about the turbulence that's going on in the marketplace. I mean, are they really the entity that's best suited to function well in that environment? Because we have a lot of world events that directly impact the cost of electric.
Well, there's a lot of, NOPEC is a nonprofit.
Right.
There's a lot of for-profits that do exactly the same thing. So I don't know how they're working in this market, but they're doing all the same thing, they just mark it up.
Right, yeah.
NOPEC is marking it up to cover their fixed costs, and they don't have the profit on it that the others have.
I understand that.
So, really, I think it's a little bit premature. You know, this thing is starting to shake out. You don't know what it's gonna be come June, or whatever date you wanna pick into next year. Is this imbalance still gonna remain?
Is Jose gonna have a job? I wouldn't ask him that.
Well, all of those are viable, but even if it's a for-profit aggregator, they're gonna, are people recognizing that their bills are way out of whack too, so. I give credit to NOPEC that they took action that would help reduce your bill. They had electric gain.
Right.
So to their credit, I guess, okay.
And they give their little grants every year, I mean, that's
You
nice.
know, we get benefits here, a lot of, we did the LED lighting activities.
Done the Fourth of
Lions
July
Club's
parade
got
for
money
3
for
years.
the Fourth of July parade, so they have participated to the village. My opinion, I think it's premature for endorsement, so my thing, I would wait. But they're trying to get you to send something in by October 27th. I don't know, I do business like that.
Well, you guys either say to sign it or not sign it, I don't care.
I guess I'd find myself in Alan's camp.
Well, you can put a
See
vote,
attitude.
I can put a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the letter of support, we can vote on it.
Are you making that motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That was the first order.
Okay, well then, I'll just, Van, I never got the email, I don't know.
Gary, I have
You don't have to do anything.
Can we
I don't have to do
backtrack?
anything, I can do that.
Can we backtrack to Gary's financial request? We authorized you to
I give you a copy.
transfer 95,000. Can you, is it too cumbersome for you to do that on an as-needed basis, not to exceed 95,000?
I don't believe it will be. This will be the first time I do it out of a Star Ohio account. They seem to be pretty flexible on that. So I don't think it would be a burden. I can't, I wouldn't want to do it like monthly. I prefer not to. Because all you need is an unexpected expense and then not have available monies in the checking account to cover it.
What does it take to transfer the money? Phone call?
Email.
Email? Yep. And then upon receipt of the email, that takes weeks, months, minutes,
Days,
days?
couple of days, 2 to 3 days.
Does council have to approve your money moves? Because it's left pocket to the right pocket kind of a thing. It tree.
Council requested that I always ask for a motion whenever I want to transfer monies from any investment. So I'm just following council's direction. If you want to waive that, great. It's up to you, but you set that in place.
Yeah.
When I say you, I mean council.
Right. Well, the question arose in the audience, and I think there's validity to it. So I wanted to ask that question.
Right.
That even gets more cumbersome if you go into a CDE concept, as Mr. Crossy mentioned. Because your CDs mature at a point in time. You can create ladders and things like that, but we're not doing like a money manager in a corporate facility that takes his account down to zero, so he minimizes his interest rate. We're kind of.
And point in fact, we're not talking about huge money.
We're not talking about what?
Huge money.
95.
Well, 95,000 and 3% versus, so you've got a 2% difference.
Right, basically, well, a little more than that, but yes. Okay. So, again, am I getting new instructions or what?
No, you got existing marching orders you have to follow.
As a question, I need to ask.
Sure.
It's a curious council.
What problem with that?
Is there any other new business?
Yeah, there was one other one on, it was brought up last meeting by Ed Stevens. That was, there was
Oh,
two.
yes, lots of trees.
One was about a tree planted, in front of his tree or something. Second, there was a bench put down by the lakeside. And so I reached out to Alan if there was something in our zoning that prevented these kind of things from happening, or were there others where you have an ordinance that, no planning, no thing on village properties. What's the proper way to handle that?
Well, I think the default position is the law, which would say that's village property, you need village permission to put anything on it.
Right.
And beyond that, which means council, beyond that, you could set up something. I haven't seen one though. Well, like a plan for memorial trees and benches and plaques and.
Well, some places have like, let's
Yeah.
call it a landscape protocol.
Right.
That we're gonna plant, a tree, like Point Park, we went to an arborist and they selected trees that are appropriate for that soil condition. As there would be other places.
It's a good idea, but you don't have it right now.
No, one was, do we have anything? Number two.
And
what
I
do we
haven't
need?
even seen one of those in 5 villages, It's more of a case by
Well, maybe
case.
then if people running around planting trees, because these two trees, obviously, I don't think we approved either one of them, and then now it's not our problem, when I'm spilling the other, right?
The tree that Ted was talking about's been there for a long time. I showed it to Bud, and it's like 15 foot tall. It's a beautiful fir tree, and it doesn't impinge on his tree that he planted at all. So you have to be
Yeah, that's what I
careful about.
heard, somebody went up and declared it no problem.
Well, I was up there and Bud was walking around the circle and I said, now he took the maple tree down, which was really a relief to the tree that Ed was talking about.
That's correct. It's probably the biggest relief.
Yeah. So I think we need to be careful about telling people, we'll just cut it down. I think you need to have, the village needs to, be in charge of that.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear, we did not remove that maple tree in deference to Ed's observation that somebody suddenly planted a huge pine tree. That pine tree's been there at a minimum 15 years.
It's
And his maple tree was planted sometime thereafter. The maple tree we removed was dying. Part of the trunk was hollowed out. And I talked to an arborist. He said, when a tree starts to sprout toadstools, particularly that kind of species of maple, it's time to remove it. Even though it appears to be healthy and has a crown in full bloom, you can't trust a tree. So we cut it down.
Let me take back my answer. West Salem has a shade tree commission.
Okay.
And they deal with all that. And they have like a little handbook that they've adopted,
Okay.
just for the record.
I think if you look way back at Chippewa Lake, they had a tree commission also.
Maybe you could just pull that, whatever that paragraph about a tree commission, pull it out. I don't think we have a need to really make an action now, but we're doing things. I mean, Pride does planting of trees and benches and things like that, but that's at the direction of the mayor.
Do you want to look at their tree rules?
Yeah.
Then
Just,
I can
yeah, I
email
don't
it.
know I want to do anything right now, but maybe that gives us a little bit of guidance.
Okay.
I've seen landscape protocols as more of a
Right.
defining thing from a professional standpoint, but I don't know how that applies to us.
Who also wants to get a copy, Bud? Mark? Okay.
I'll do it.
Interesting read.
Right on.
Yes, I. Okay, so any other new business?
Did you say yes?
Okay, then we need one more motion, guys.
Please, please.
So,
All in favor? Opposed?
All right.